see, is this, all right. Hello, welcome to the August video chat. This had a couple false starts. YouTube won't see that, I guess. Technical difficulties. Okay, so I guess the first announcement is I just released a new game dungeon. In fact, that's why I delayed this about a week. I was running behind. When I'm falling behind, I still have a lot of work to do. I just kind of want to hide from the world and just not show my face. So I just like, no, leave me alone. I'm working on it. And so a week ended up being about right. So some of you may not have seen that yet. I may delay this release a day or two on YouTube because of that. But yeah, this one got a little heavier than I really wanted to, but it's like I felt like if I have to go back and talk about these games, then I really should talk about this too. So it's like I almost got like, I think I got just about like every serious discussion related to the games out of the way in that episode. So it's gonna be like next one. I think is gonna be kind of manic, if anything. So expect Game Dungeon to start getting more fun and kind of drift more into the escapism side of things. So yeah, my plans got completely shot last time. I ended up having a neighbor, I guess, on the other side of the building start just drilling all day constantly, and that just kind of wrecked my recording windows. The good news is out of all of this, well, they've stopped. That's the main good news. But the good news is out of all this, I finally got to meet another one of my neighbors and just kind of talk to her to see if, warn her that I could get loud recording, see if that was okay for her during certain times. She was totally fine with it. So that means Freeman's Mind's like completely back on. That's what's next. To be honest, there are other videos I'd rather be making next, but I figure Freeman's Mind has gotten neglected so badly that I'm gonna have to overcompensate. Well, I'm gonna pace it first. I'm just gonna have like one episode, then another game dungeon, or the sort of dream software I was alluding to in the video. Then it's gonna be a bunch of Freeman's Mind. So I know she's from Norway, the lady. Yeah, it's funny. She was talking about the drilling too. And she was saying, it's been going on for 3 weeks. 3 weeks! And like, yeah, she spoke English too. It's like, as if we hadn't heard it. I mean, we're right next to her. So it looks like it was getting to her even more than me. So let's see. What else? Yeah, okay, so I wrote that. So yeah, I'm glad I got the game dungeon out. Sorry it took so long. Those follow-up ones take a while because I'm really looking forward to the next game dungeon because I know it's only one game. So I don't have to like arrange all this stuff, get it all together. Okay, now you can start to get this game working again, get the footage, and then, okay, go to that. And so I can kind of keep my thoughts more coherent between them all. But yeah, probably the RTX voice thing. I heard about that, but well, actually, that would be a dream come true if the RTX could smartly handle volume balancing, use AI for that. I don't know if it does that. I just noticed that in the chat. Oh, that would be a treat for me if I could just take the audio, throw it in like a smart volume balancer using AI techniques, and then maybe have to correct like 2 or 3 things and that's it. That would be great. Let's see. So, but yeah, I think people are going to be happy with what's coming next for Game Dungeon. And this other side video, I'm just kind of going crazy, having not made it yet, but it'll be a live one where I'll be in front of talking to the camera. But yeah, I'm just it's like consuming part of my mind to make that. But both this and the GUI video, we're doing that. This should be a lot shorter than the GUI. I'm guessing probably under 20 minutes. Between 10 and 20 minutes is what I'm guessing. Yeah, well, so he's asked about Silver Protection, but that's unfortunately post-movie territory. So unless I just had, well, yeah, I have enough problems overextending myself. So trying to nail, hey, this other side video, I'm going to make it, and then that's it. So I want more stuff like that where I make it and it's done, so that I can go back to the other series. So, oh, okay. So the title says 4th of July stream. Okay, well, too late. So YouTube people won't see that anyway. I'll answer more questions at the end. I want to answer the questions people upvoted first. But yeah, other announcements. YouTube has I think as of last week, has added mid-roll ads to just about all the videos. So that means like you can be watching it and then in the middle of it, bam, a video ad comes up. As of today, I have turned that off for the majority of the videos. I still need to get through the original Freeman's Mind. I'm just setting it back to playing at the beginning and then you won't get interrupted by those. So, I mean, you know, they're saying like, oh, boost your income 20 or 30%. It's like, well, yeah, I did see a rise in income, but I also started seeing like about exactly at the same time, a drop off in like viewership. So it's like, yeah, that's a devil's bargain. I don't want to, I mean, part of the reason people want to go to the internet is because they don't have to deal with commercials in the middle of things like you had on TV. So what I've found is it's just always, for me anyway, and my audience, it's just always better to prioritize the audience and just do like what's going to be best for viewers overall. So, I mean, it's a bit of a compromise just having the ads to begin with, but so it's going to be set up. I've been working backwards. I think all of Game Dungeon shouldn't get interrupted anymore. So I didn't set that. I had to go and fix it all manually. So I've gone through 100 or so videos right now. But yeah, I mean, I figure I want people to get kind of drawn in when they're watching the videos. Having a big ad in the middle of that, no. So I'd rather just take the pay hit from YouTube because I mean, look, if I had to rely on YouTube, I'd be dead meat by now anyway. So if those are still on there, they'll get removed in the next couple days. Let's see. Oh yeah. Okay, here's an announcement. Maybe I'm playing with fire here. I was a little disappointed there were some good posts, but the feedback from the GUI video isn't quite what I was hoping for. See, I was hoping, I had this image in my mind, like people were going to show me all these like exotic, different looking themes for, for Windows or just whatever system. And the thing, what I wasn't expecting was there was so much conformity. And if you didn't really care for that theme, like the flat theme, I didn't really like that. And it's like you really had to hunt for the kind of alternative looking stuff. Whereas in the old days, there were just tons of different looking themes. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm saying this cautiously, I think I may try to commission someone to create a Windows blinds theme. But I have to give fair warning. I think we're talking like 2 figures here, so it's not going to be what you're worth. However, if it makes you feel better, I've walked this walk before. That original theme I had from back in the early 2000s, I made that myself. So I kind of know what's involved. I mean, it does take time, but really what I haven't figured out how to do this yet. Really, I almost want to put like a bounty for like just screenshots or mock-up screenshots of different looking themes. I think, see, again, I don't know exactly what I want, but I've seen some elements that I've liked. So I think if it's just left to me and if I'm kind of commissioning a person or two to help make something, then I think what I might do is kind of look back at like some mid to early 2000s kind of Linux GNOME themes and just maybe sort of modernize them a little bit. Like they'll have like several elements I like, and then other stuff looks a little more dated and clunky. It's like, okay, well that's not so clean visually. So maybe, just kind of like, kind of a refresher to kind of like some older themes that I like. Maybe get a couple together. And again, when I say commission, the person making this would retain all rights. So it's more like an aggressive Kickstarter backing kind of thing. Yeah, but I can't afford to give too much on it. Like, I've said this in emails for sure, but I want to say this publicly. If you're somebody who's like looking to make money and like really kickstart your career and like climb up, you should stay far away from me. I'm more like a kind of weird lost cause level that, you know, it's like, oh, this is interesting. You know, so that's, yeah, if you want to make lots of money, just stay away from me. Like that's, I just, that kind of extends to everything. I mean, you know, if I were to win the lottery or something, that would change. But again, I'm not the biz. Well, I just started here talking about how I'm turning off mid-roll ads. So that kind of says where my mind's at with the stuff I'm working on. But yeah, or hey, if you maybe don't want to go that far, but you see some elements of themes you've seen in the past, like visual UI themes. I mean, we're just talking about the look here, just like how the windows look. I'm kind of lowering my standards for what I'm going to be able to accomplish on Windows. Feel free to send me some screenshots or links to stuff you really liked or you liked elements of. But yeah, if somebody wants to, if you'd be up for kind of making a skin for window blinds, because I think it's probably the best game in town for that, let me know, and that can, and hey, that could end up in the follow-up episode too. But yeah, I've seen some in the past I like from like early 2000s. Like I remember like kind of liking a lot of what I was seeing from like Red Hat Linux. Again, there was some GNOME themes. I don't know. I'm trying to remember the names of all these, but or it's like, oh, I like that scroll bar, or I like these buttons, or so it might be like sort of a Frankenstein version of like stuff in the mid 2000s, but with like a modern polish to it. So you know, but hey, people may have better ideas too. I think I saw one email somebody was suggesting like a pixel art theme. I was thinking, yeah, if you could pull that off, that might be pretty cool too. So, see, again, I'm kind of in this space where I don't know exactly what I want, but I recognize some things I like. So, chicks dig giant robots. Yeah. So, yeah, I want to kind of promote that. And you can email me, rosswscott@gmail.com. So, yeah, this... If you want to help out, or hey, maybe if you don't want to go the extra distance with skinning it, but you can send me some mock-up screenshots. Maybe if nobody's up for it, maybe I'll do it myself, you know. But okay, I wanted to just get that out there. Yeah, something mentioning like Windows 3.1. There's your pixel art. You know, I'm remembering from the magazine Maximum PC. I just have lots of tangential thoughts. For every year they have what's called the Dream Machine, where they try to just go all out with like the most powerful possible system they can. And I remember one year they did that, and then they gave it like this new retro look. They gave it a professional paint job on a modern case, except they made it beige. So it's like they took a case from like the 90s and just made it like the most slickest version that you could. Using more modern techniques. So it was a weird but kind of neat like merging of like old and new. So I think that's kind of what I'm after for the UI. But hey, you may have ideas I hadn't even thought of. See, I was hoping to see a lot more variety, and man, it's just been like a wasteland, I think, in UI variety, in my opinion. So let's see. I did a Megas XLR reference. Apparently, I don't even know what that is. When I think of XLR, I think of the headphone connector. You know, like if I'm remembering the right acronym here. Let's see. Wow, that's on. Okay, I was gonna unplug one, but I can't. It's too solid. So yeah, I sometimes make references I'm completely unaware of. That just by coincidence. I think I did that in the demonetization video. Okay, well, I should keep going. Oh yeah, okay. And I mentioned the new game dungeon. My foot's in my mouth already from making that. A few people have come out and told me that No, the aircraft, there actually are rotating turbine, like jet engine aircraft. And I saw like a vertical landing of one. I was thinking, yeah, that's pretty close. It was like a Harriet something. I forget the name of it. But so I dropped the ball on that. So yeah, I guess we'll just have to rely on the lifelike holograms and the largest elevated cyber city in history for human revolution, kind of being farther in the future than the original Deus Ex. Harrier jump jets, yeah, Harrier jump jet, yeah, that looked pretty I mean, the shape was clearly different, but as far as functionality, yeah, I saw a video of a landing on an aircraft carrier and it's just coming straight down with the turbines. So, yep, I was wrong. So, oh well. Oh yeah, and this is just a side question I was curious about because I kind of want to go through this eventually. What's the nicest looking way to play Quake 2 that doesn't require like a ray tracing hardware card, like an RTX? So like what's second place, that you could just run on any video card? Because I remember seeing one that like really went kind of ahead of its time. I mean, I guess it still looks dated now, but at the time I remember thinking, wow, this looks as good as the lighting from Doom 3. And even though Doom 3 is an old game, it was kind of cutting edge for the lighting at the time. So I think I saw something, it was like Berserker mod or something, but I don't know. Be playing the superior Quake 4. Well, Quake 4 is a mix. You know something that Quake 2's better. I mean, look, Quake 4's music doesn't hold a candle to Quake 2's, Plus, there might be like a lot more mods and total conversions for 2, I bet. So, but yeah, I was wondering, like what's the second best looking Quake 2 out there that you don't need to rely on ray tracing? So, I was just kind of curious. People can contact me about that too. Because I remember at the time, this was years back, so maybe it's caught up. I remember at the time, all the most popular ones weren't the best looking one. And I found one that looked great, but then it didn't support widescreen. I was thinking, really? So this was like mid 2010s. I was thinking, we just still don't support that for a game like Quake 2, that's that moddable. So, it was stuck to 4x3 at the time, but maybe that's changed. So I'm wondering what the best looking one is now. Okay, so let's see. Okay, no, these are just random notes from earlier. Okay, I think that's it for announcements. So yeah, Freeman's Mind's next. Then either Game Dungeon. It might be Game Dungeon. It's going to be like a competition between either Game Dungeon or that side video. Like, yeah, I mentioned I'm going to have a Sonic game. I wanted to have some. This is a good summer game. It's bright, colorful, like. It fits that kind of climate. I like to kind of have games that fit the season when I can. So I kind of want to get that out before fall, in other words. Okay, yeah, I guess I'll start answering questions then. Let's see. And then I may try to cut, yeah, well, watch me jinx myself. I may try to cut the voted questions off a little sooner this time, just because some people may have new questions. So, yeah, sorry, I have to move things around here. New questions because of the Game Dungeon that just released. Because I went over a bunch of different topics. So yeah, Game Dungeon is probably going to be getting more fun. I really just laid out my thoughts. I got the more serious stuff out of the way. So if you're okay, good. Everybody knows what's up now. Now we can just retreat entirely. Okay. Yeah, I didn't have a great answer to this one. If you were allowed to help design the curriculum for a class on the history of gaming, what would you consider required reading? This could be anything: historical events, specific game or series, important platforms, etc. Well, I'm not a game historian expert, unfortunately. I'm just kind of enthusiast who's been around a couple decades. Uh, I mean, I guess the easy answer for me is just try to drum in like how games as a service came to exist and how it's just completely ignoring uh, previous preservation standards, you know, or means. And oh yeah, okay. Okay, well, I'll finish answering the question first. I'll mention that. Well, I mentioned that Xbox reveal thing. Look, that's worthy of gaming history. That the original Xbox One reveal, because I mean, I laid it all out in the Game Dungeon episode. I mean, that's notable what they were trying to do there. I mean, look, they're probably gonna take another pass at it, but it's yikes, you know. Um, I guess the other thing I might emphasize is like I've it might be better now. I've seen I can't remember any specific examples, but I've seen like game journalists write things that obviously showed an ignorance of what happened like on the PC, like through the 80s and 90s and onward, because because they probably only play console games. So I can understand if you have limited knowledge, everybody's like that. But if you're a game journalist and then you're writing these truths, it's like you should at least put up a correction, you know? Hey, they can edit their columns. You know, they can put like update and like, we made a mistake on this. But I can't do that really on the videos. I mean, so I have to really try my best to get it right the first time. So, but yeah, I'm afraid I don't have great answers. I'm sure there's people who could give a much better answer. Although, yeah, actually, when I did the games as a services fraud video, one developer came to me and said, "Hey, never heard anyone making the argument I was before. Like, this is just completely alien and new to them." I was thinking that's kind of a sign of just how bad the situation is. That it's like being able to keep your game running is such a complete afterthought for the modern industry that shows kind of a failure of, well, the industry really. Now, the fact that that guy didn't know about it means it could be a failure of education. However, my understanding is a lot of developers are aware of it. But yeah, I think just maybe the history of what's been going on with the PC is something too. Because I remember Borderlands, they made, I've probably mentioned this before, they made, like when they're talking about Borderlands 2, they were talking about, oh, you know, they had all these discoveries related to the field of vision and like all this stuff. I was thinking, well, Borderlands came out, like, what was that, like late 2000s, early 2010s? It's like, what, they didn't figure out how to have a good field of vision for a PC user at that point? So it's like, it gets kind of frustrating when developers keep having to like rediscover the wheel, you know, and I think that might come from just like a complete lack of awareness of what PC gaming is like. Now, I think that might be getting better now, but like for a while it was looking bad. I think my thoughts are kind of scrambled on this, but I forgot the other point I was going to make. Shoot, I should have just said it then. I was going to bring it. I think it was related to the video. Oh, that was it. Somebody emailed me within, I think it's been less than 24 hours or right about. Apparently, like, as I was editing the video, I didn't realize that Supreme Court decision about, I mentioned in the video, Paramount versus the US, I think, about the studio system. The Supreme Court, I think, is undoing that. They're basically saying, no, there's not no, this is outdated and there's not a risk of monopolistic practices. So therefore we don't need this. Yeah, it's overturned. Yeah, so it's just like, wow, I had no idea. I mean, I was hoping to get this video out a lot, like weeks earlier. So the timing of that's amazing. So yeah, like I said, I'm the one coming out on the wrong side of history on this. So we're going back to the media fiefdoms. Is it fiefdom or I think it's fiefdom? So, oh well, you know, that's. But hey, I have something optimistic coming from this in like the secret weapon video. Okay, so do some more. questions. Let's see. Somebody was so happy because they thought this was a Bob Ross stream. Well, no, different Ross, but I guess my stuff's going to be. I guess you know what to expect with Bob Ross. I mean, you know, I guess you can say you know what to expect from me within a certain range, but I don't even know what I'm going to say in these chats. So, okay, let's see. What does your family think of your career? Do they watch any of your videos? Again, I think my parents have. I think their standards were sufficiently lowered long before I started doing this. So I think they're quite satisfied I'm, making a living and I'm not in jail. So that's, I mean, I think they take a pretty realistic approach about it. As for watching the videos, yeah, they do watch them. Actually, they probably watch these video chats more than anything. I sometimes warn my mother not to watch certain ones because she can be pretty sensitive towards it. And for a while, I was worried she was just going to watch them anyway, and I was going to have basically, I was kind of worried about having to kind of being disowned by my own mother about this because she kind of overreacts to some stuff. But it seems to be that she'll kind of trust my judgment that, like, okay, Mom, don't watch this one, So I think since she seems to be kind of listening to me on that, then it's okay. So she'll be able to watch, like, for instance, the last video, I don't think she should probably, the parts of that I don't think she should watch, like scenes from Lakeview Cabin or just even parts of the Human Revolution stuff I was showing. I'm trying to remember what else would I censor for her. Like, my mom was always kind of strict on what I could watch because it tends to disturb her more. Like, offensive stuff can disturb her more deeply than it ever disturbed me. Like, I remember, I think, to put it in perspective, before I turned 17, I think I'd seen exactly two R movies, and that was just through dumb luck. I think one of them was Speed, because I was like at a friend's house. I thought the movie, I thought that was just one of the coolest movies I'd ever seen. And what was the other one? Okay, well, no, actually, there might have been three. Okay, I remember one was just complete dumb luck being in the theater with a friend whose mom didn't care. I saw White Men Can't Jump. And I was definitely too young to really grasp what was happening, but it was... That was an R movie. I think there was three, but that's it. So when I turned 17, I went nuts. I just rented every single R movie I had been interested in over the years that I could find. I just went on a spree, just renting every R-rated movie, and just got to catch up after that. Yeah, so occasionally I would get lucky and some R movies would be would be censored for TV because they'd only be R because of some language or one scene that they cut out. And so I could see some of those, but I'm trying to remember if I saw many like that. It wasn't many. I mean, she ran a tight ship on what I was allowed to watch. So, yeah. I'm trying. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm not remembering more off the moment. So, yeah. I think they're... Yeah, it could be worse for what I'm doing. So, it could be worse. Let's see. Ross, do you have any thoughts about the current state for VR with the introduction of the Valve Index and Oculus Quest since your last VR video? Well, I actually haven't been following the completely separate ones. I even forget the name of them. I think that is the Oculus Quest. The standalone ones where you don't even need to connect it to a computer, so it's true wireless. Because I just want to, I mean, yeah, that'd be nice, but I just want to get the powerful stuff, use my GPU and run more programs. Yeah, was it HP? I think introduced the Reverb 2. I that has one of the highest resolutions on the market. I'm not sure if it's the highest. Uh, Boy, right now VR, it feels like I'm sure I've said this before. It feels like video cards in like the very late '90s or the early 2000s, where you wait a year, you wait a year and a half. There's something better coming out, and it's better in a big way. And there's lots of players in the market because back then you had like S3, you had Matrox, you had ATI, Nvidia. Uh, oh yeah, 3DFX for a while. So, and the thing is with VR, it's like there's no obvious winner. It's like in different areas, different ones are the best. I mean, yeah, there is. I mean, maybe the Pimax, what was it, 8KX? That might be one of the best. So it's like, man, yeah. Now the thing is, these are expensive items for not being able to try them on yourself. And, with the pandemic, that's going to be harder and harder to come by, being able to try these on somewhere. So it's definitely in a healthy state, but it's kind of frustrating if you're like wanting to save up and just buy the one that'll last you a long time, because it's like, man, there's a lot of good stuff around the corner. Yeah, so I'm saying the Reverb 2 is a really good value. See, that's the thing. I have as soon as I upgrade to 10, I'm going to get the Windows 10, I'm going to get the Odyssey Plus working. That one, when it's on sale, is probably the best sit and wait option, where it's the best compromise between a higher quality one versus a budget, because it drops to around $200 or less when it goes on. So maybe Black Friday, if they're even doing that this year, that might be a time to check for the Samsung Odyssey Plus. But I mean, there's a lot of options now. Yeah, I mean, Half-Life Alyx for sure stoked the flames a little bit for interest in it. We'll see how long that lasts, but look, I'm convinced at this point VR is not going away. It's the question is how big a niche market is it going to be? I think it's just totally devoted market for the people who are on board with it. Yeah, again, I make the comparison to like steering wheels or flight sticks. Most people don't have those, but the people who do have them, yeah, they really want them and they really like them. So, yeah, I'm hope to be catching. That's VR is one of the biggest reasons I want to move to Windows 10, so I can get that running. Okay, I was wondering if you're going to plan to revisit The Last Stand Union City. Yes, in fact, boy, I was not kidding with how many. Look, I wrote out the dialogue for maybe twice as many episodes as was in the Game Dungeon video. I even voiced like 2 or 3 of them, and then I decided, no, this is just getting too long, and then so I cut them. Last Stand Union City was on there. However, it might go in a different direction than I was anticipating. Yeah, what are some others I cut out? The Chosen, Well of Souls, Helios, the Ski Game, Legend of Kyrandia. Here, let me check my folder. I have this folder under there. I had this text file called Overflow, where I just scrapped everything. Okay. Trackmania, The Crew, Wolfenstein, Puzzle Agent, Mabus, whatever. The Cave Story, Captain Zap, Requital, not Requital, Still Life, Veil of Darkness. So yeah, that was like the long list for the follow-up number 3. So instead I just culled it to the stuff I thought was like a little more topical and like longer range. So again, I got all the most serious stuff just out of the way in that one. So it shouldn't be getting any darker than that. Yeah, so I mean, I'll probably cover up more stuff later, but those were like floating towards the top of what I wanted to cover in a follow-up. So, and that's just what got culled, but it's not gone. It's just delayed. So, yes, no darker. Let's see. They say, yeah, it was planned. It just didn't make the cut. In fact, I had an even more upbeat ending planned, but it was just getting longer. I was thinking, am I gonna have time to see some of the things I wanted to do for the follow up? We're gonna take extra steps and just like I have to get in front of the camera, get the filming ready. Oh yeah, well okay. Here's something interesting. I'm gonna confirm what the problem is in the near future. Since I made The Chosen Well of Souls, it does not run on my system anymore. Now, I think there's two possibilities. One, it's either I have some crazy dependencies going on Windows 7 and I just didn't get the right updates. So if I were to update it or go to Windows 10, that'll get solved. The second is, the main thing that's changed since I made that is I'm on a Xeon processor now. I always forget whether it's Xeon or Xenon. I think Xenon's the game, Xeon. And those are a little different than like, a lot of core processors. Or see, on the other one, I was on the AMD. I think when I filmed it, I was on AMD FX 8350. And so I'm going to find out. When I install Windows 10, I'm going to install it on this first. I'm going to see if The Chosen runs. If it does, then that means it was just some madness on my OS. But if it doesn't, that means there's some issue with that running on a Xeon processor. So, the gas Xenon, yeah. that's what I was mixing up with. So what we'll see. Now I had a plan for that. Now the thing is, I can run it in a virtual machine on my system, but then I can't have anti-aliasing. So I was like, no, I want to do this. I wanted to get that for the follow-up. So yeah, that game just doesn't run now for me. No idea why, but I'll figure that out later. There's one or two other games I think that like used to run that don't. So, or who knows? Maybe it's like a weird motherboard thing, but. That's why when the Battle Skylords Reborn didn't run, I figured, yeah, that's probably on my end. Like, there's a few games that haven't been able to run. The Crew 2 was another one. That one's almost certainly me just not being up to date with some software. Let's see. Oh yeah, somebody's saying when did Ross go to Mardi Gras? Yeah, okay. Somebody asked about this last chat. Somebody asked like what the oldest item I had was. I said it was probably a hand-me-down T-shirt from my dad. This is the shirt. So this shirt's from the 80s here. It just has some Harlequins on it. And it says, Mardi Gras New Orleans on it. It's just held up. It just hasn't fallen apart. So this shirt's been around since the 80s. So, maybe before I was alive. I don't know. So yeah, it's just hanging in there. Let's see. So yeah, unfortunately, the next follow-up's gonna get deprioritized because I have some cool stuff coming up for Game Dungeon. Yeah, I did change my mind. Originally, I was gonna have a first-person shooter next, but I said no. I want to go really light. So after doing that one, so Sonic's gonna be an antidote there. People can try and guess which one I'm gonna play. I may have some surprises in it. I haven't decided yet, but I say for Game Dungeon, the best indicator of whether I should do a Game Dungeon on something is if I have a thought and I think like, oh, this would make a great scene, or I have a thought about that. I bet people might find this interesting, and I'm having like a dozen of these stack up for this game. So I'm thinking, yeah, this is definitely a good candidate. I can make a good episode out of this. So. Let's see. Oh yeah, well, okay, I'll dispel this myth right now. Somebody's saying, like, since Adobe announced the Flash will be dead by December this year, Adobe's forcing his hand on this issue. That almost makes me want to wait on doing the follow-up on The Last Stand until after the deadline's expired, just to show people it still works. Look, there's a standalone... Two things. One, there's a standalone Flash player for games. Two, even if there wasn't, you could get a legacy browser run that with like legacy Flash and run the Flash games that way. So it's not, the reason Flash seems worse. See, it's not the same as dead games because it the reason it seems like that is because so many Flash games were distributed online through websites. So if you didn't back up that cached file from the website, yeah, the game is gone. But if you did, well, you can just run it offline. It's not an issue. Now, I mean, there were some that required like actually connecting to some server, but I think those were the minority. It's mostly just the web was the distribution method for Flash. So, and I think there's been like a really stellar effort at backing up all those Flash games that are out there. I mean, almost certainly missed some, but there's a lot that got backed up. So I think we're probably in pretty good shape. Flash dying is kind of like a console being discontinued right now, except it's better because you can copy it and just kind of keep running it forever, really. So it's not as bad as it seems, As long as that archive of the games is up there, then we're fine, really. So, okay, let's see. Oh, shoot, this is the one I meant to give more thought towards. If you were to create a game with no budgetary or time limitations, what would it be about or include? Ah, man, this one's totally my fault. So I was thinking, oh yeah, I should figure that out, and then I got so busy with the episode. I just feel happy I didn't pull an all-nighter on the game dungeon because I thought I was going to have to get it out before the video chat. So I didn't this time. But I was working kind of around the clock this past week. So just so many little things would just stack up with making that. It's incredible. Like just the little things that come together. And I was thinking it's not necessarily like just as simple as having an editor. Because, like, okay, let's say I have an editor completely on the same wavelength as me. It's like, okay, well, I need these scenes from the Mist movie. Okay, well, I need these articles. Okay, well, I need this scene from this game. And it's like, I don't know. Maybe some people out there could just go and just harvest it all and put it all together. But it's also just gathering everything I need together in one place, That takes a decent chunk of the time, and that's definitely worse for the follow-up episodes because I have to spread to all sorts of different games and articles and clips and that sort of thing. So, so yeah, game with no budget or time limitations. Well, this may not be the top of the list, but this is one that comes to mind. I still want kind of a PvE version of something like PlanetSide 2 where you're going through this long, enormous, drawn-out sci-fi war campaign with vehicles, transports, aircraft, simultaneous different battles. I don't know exactly what I want even, but I like the idea where it doesn't have to be just completely... You could have like an AI enemy that's launching a war campaign against you also, and you could kind of jump in the different fronts of the war, maybe. Where, if you just leave the AI, you're going to slowly lose. But if you're hopping in there, then you can like make the difference for battles, but then you have to move to another one, that sort of thing. I'll be really interested in something like that. Another one, I mean, we're almost flirting with dream game territory here. The new Microsoft Flight Simulator. Yeah, I cut this from the script because I want to say they're messing with my head with that one because they basically modeled just the entire world, and they're using data from Bing Maps and using AI algorithms to try to recreate like houses and buildings in the right spots and trees and stuff like that. Man, the thing is, I'm not huge on flight sims, but the graphics on that are so good that I think even on the ground level, if they can just give me a car and I can just drive anywhere I want in the world, that would be pretty... Man, I'm keeping my fingers crossed a mod comes out for that. Because, yeah, it won't be top fidelity down on the ground, but it still looked pretty good for those low-flying shots. So yeah, just a massive sort of open world driving game where you can just go to all sorts of different places in the world. Although I think I'd want some other stuff with it too, like kind of like a scavenger hunt element to it, or maybe you could have like some storyline that takes place across different areas. I don't know, just some. I want excuses to just drive and explore everything on top of just doing F4 itself. I guess what I'm saying. Just some sprinklings in there to make it more interesting. It wouldn't have to be too over the top. Let's see. I had some other ideas. I mean, of course, I'm a fan of like the whole kind of Castlevania theme stuff. So I wouldn't mind seeing kind of like a larger, more ambitious kind of maybe RPG-ish world for that. Let's see. I'm trying to think. Okay, what are some other like? Well, okay, let's say I wanted to make money though. I mean, this is the stuff with all. I still think this could happen sometime. Is make an MM. Well, yeah, I already mentioned this before. Is make an MMO with like kind of your standard questing format. You know, kind of wouldn't necessarily have to be a World of Warcraft knockoff, but something that same general vein. But then include a bunch of mod tools and development kits for players, and basically you could have like sort of. I guess you could have like a free-for-all area where people could just throw whatever garbage they want in there. But then you could also submit creations you made, like zones or new quest lines, and the company would review it. And if they thought it met its standards, or thought like, well, almost, but we need to change this, this, and this. And if it did, they would pay the creator a fee that would get rolled into the official update to the game. So you would constantly be getting more content. And it would just be kind of a curated version of the developers. So there'd be a high standard, you know, that people would have to hit to be in the official game. But yeah, somebody's saying EverQuest Next is supposed to be like that. Maybe. I didn't see, not just a moddable area, because the thing is, with MMO players, I've especially seen this with my wife. I'm sure she's not the worst by any means. They'll just devour new content. You know, I mean, they released an expansion. Somebody's seen everything there is to see in like 3 days, you know, and that took them like a year or two to make. So it's like they could keep doing that at like a nice, relaxed pace. But then like every month you have, or 2 weeks or something like that. Well, every month would be good. You have like these new zones that like maybe individual users or a team have been spending a year on, you know, but it's up. So, hey, it meets the gold standard. So they roll that into the new game, and it would just kind of keep expanding it. And of course you could have like a free-for-all area where you just throw whatever you wanted. But yeah, so I say it's going to be what you're describing. Well, I think it's kind of an evolutionary step for MMOs, because you know, the players just go through the content too fast, you know? Let's see. What are some other dream game ideas? Tell you what, I'm drawing a blank right now. I'm going to try and think about this. So maybe like at the start of the next video chat, I'll have some more I can drop. So I think that's the best way to do this now. Okay. What are your thoughts regarding immersion for games that come with a physical map that you yourself can hold rather than a map in-game? I mean, I don't know. Extras are nice. I'm trying to remember if I think I haven't actually had that since like either late 80s or early 90s. So I just got adjusted to having a separate map. But yeah, having a map you can hold up is great if it's the kind of game where you really want a map. And now I'm feeling bad that I didn't. Okay, well, here, I'll just throw this out here now. One of the games I cut for the episode was The Crew. And in it, I made a map of like all the roads in the game, even though it's kind of a mess. So if you really want that map, you can contact me and I'll send it. But I was going to release it when I did the episode, but since I had to cut that, I wasn't able to, but it's kind of a mess because when you cover it, when you see the map in game, it has 3D perspective, so you can't just stitch together the screenshots because they're going to be misaligned. So I tried to just have the breaks in places that made sense, but so that's why I say it's a mess of a map. But it was how I was able to plot out like everywhere I've been. So yeah, I guess I don't have strong. I mean, again, extras are nice. So if it's a game that really benefits from a map, sure, collectors are gonna like that. I want to abandon my job and all my belongings and go on a journey across the world on foot. What preparations should I make? See, here's where the chat may have. I mean, the audience may have better answers than I do, because the first reply is, if you want to make sure you won't back down, watch the scene in Wolfhound where he escapes from being a slave. Yeah, that'll be perfect inspiration for that. I mean, geez, maybe bring a water filter. Lots of dried food. Just general kind of survival kit or camping kits, that sort of thing. I mean, I don't have anything. I don't have anything particularly insightful. You're not the first person to do this, So I'm sure there's lots of good advice as to what you should take. But yeah, either water filtration kit or maybe iodine tablets as a backup too. It depends like how off into the wilderness you're going, or if it's just more of an urban thing. And yeah, if it's the urban option, somebody made a good point. Now isn't a good time to travel the world. Well, I don't know, if you're going on foot in the wilderness, no, now's a pretty good time to travel the world. If you're just out in the middle of the forest somewhere or national park or something, yeah, go ahead. But okay. In the Veil of Darkness episode, you said you had a friend who acted like Chuck. What happened? Did he? Yeah. So that'd be Andrew. It would. So yeah, what happened was more than one of these things happened, but the one I remember is I loaned him a copy of the expansion to Warcraft 2, Beyond the Dark Portal. And then, like, a week or so later, he said he lost it. And I was thinking, damn it, Andrew. I had played it, so it wasn't a huge loss, but I was still annoyed because, there was Redbook audio on the disc. And so I want to say maybe 3 weeks later, I see some other kid like putting that into his locker, and then I recognized the case. It's broken. It was like had a crack in it the same way. I was like, so I went over. It's like, wait, hey, what is this? Like, where did you get this? Like, that's mine. And he says, wait, oh, now thankfully, he said, oh, that's yours. Well, okay. And then he says, I got it from like Thomas or like some guy I didn't even know. I was thinking, wait, what? And so I think I ended up finding him, and then like, I think Andrew sold it to somebody else who, or gave it to another person who traded it for weed or something. And but thankfully I think he was just borrowing it from the other person, and he was just like he just kind of like removed himself from the chain, which worked out for me. So I ended up getting it back. And so yeah, I ended up being pretty wary what I ended up loaning to him. And I had another friend who had a similar experience. I forget what he loaned to him, but he had a great quote that said, like, I might have stolen this and put it in civil protection. Like anytime you loan something to Andrew, it becomes a ransom situation. Because I do remember, like, when somebody was asking him, like, hey, I loaned this to you. Like, can I get back? He's like, well, what are you going to give me for it? It's like, I don't know what happened to him, but I still got I was in touch with him up until like I left for Poland. Like he kind of mellowed out a bit, but he's just off. He's somebody where there is no telling where he is right now. He could be doing the wandering across the the country on foot. He could, like for a while, he ended up doing carpentry. He got pretty big into that. He might be doing that again. Could be in jail. Could be in a mental hospital. Like I don't. Yeah, he's the real kind of free spirit type. You know, it's. But yeah, that's primarily what I was thinking of. Like the Warcraft 2 expansion. That it's like I was annoyed. Like I had written that off, and then I saw it. Yeah, just some kid. He was opening his locker. This is in high school. He was just opening his locker, and they're like, "No, that's it. That's mine." Like you know. So that's the story there. What's a favorite joke of yours? Yeah, see, I don't always have. I was thinking about. I mean, maybe there's one I'm forgetting, but the humor I like the most tends to have like kind of context built up to it, or just not necessarily be jokes. Like, see, the first thing that came to my mind, I thought of recently was well, it wasn't even a joke really. It was this video. I'll put a link here. I'm starting to make notes of when I say I'll put a link in the description for YouTube so I don't forget it. Hold on. It was this cyber cafe, I think it was in Thailand, where this person's just, it's the security cameras, this person's just talking to people, and as he's casually opening the door, then the second he opens this door, this snake just lunges straight at him. I mean, just like, and then you see him just kind of spastically run around from it, and then until he crashes into somebody else in the cafe, and then he runs off, and then the snake gets loose and kind of goes towards another corner, and then like the two people in the corner just jump up on their seats, and it was pretty good comedy. I mean, slapstick, like just everybody just the snake. It's so funny because then you get an outside view of the door. And like the snake, it's like it was waiting. I mean, I guess it was. I mean, it was just waiting to strike, and it was just going for it. So, but yeah, as for favorite jokes, again, I'm kind of dry. And actually, what I was thinking of was just completely stupid, but it was like so stupid I found it funny. Was for a while there was a meme trending from The Walking Dead where they have Rick telling dad jokes to Carl, and one was it's like hey Rick, I wondered where the sun went, and then Carl's just looking there like, Dad, stop, and he's say, it's just like I stayed up all night trying to find it, then it dawned on me, Carl. Like he's just. And like it's just so stupid. Yeah, it's like a threshold of like joke stupidity where if you can go past a certain point, it becomes funny again. So yeah, I don't know. I'll have to think of some other funny things sometime. Did making videos ever have an impact on your physical or mental health? Absolutely, and it's mostly been. But like this, ever since I've been independent of machinima, it's just entirely my fault. Like my ambition gets the better of me, and I want to have a video out for a certain time, so I end up just going insane with just vastly underestimating how much time things take, or just running into complications. So it's your basic. It's the equivalent of like. You know, when we mentioned last chat, like the programmer crunch, it's basically that just for making videos. So anyone who's been through just like week after week crunch, yeah, that does it. Yeah, and somebody's mentioned like the finishing the Freeman's Mind series. That one was a little different. That one didn't get really bad until the end, again, because of my ambition. Most of that was just kind of constant tension, where I was just so incredibly regimented for like most, or like all I did was just Freeman's Mind, get groceries, and like 45 minutes or something of exercise a day, like, running. And like, that was it. It just sleep. So it's just like nothing but Freeman's Mind, eat, get food, exercise, sleep. And like, that's all it was, like just day after day. And that started working on me, but it's like when I have to start cutting sleep, that's when it gets really bad. And that was towards the end because, again, I got too ambitious. I thought, oh man, if I'm ending Freeman's Mind, like, what am I going to do after this? Like, I have to kind of promote the game dungeon more so that all these people are watching Freeman's Mind now, so I need to expose them to game dungeon so maybe some of them stay on board once it's over, you know? So that's what motivated me to get the Polaris Snowcross episode made in time for Christmas, too, so that's additional holiday pressure. So, and then I had to go back to finishing Freeman's Mind, and then it got so close. It just got so close. Yeah, if I have to cut sleep, it just gets awful. But again, it's my fault. So, oh yeah, this one. In the crew game dungeon, you mentioned racing games have a high difficulty skill ceiling and showed a picture of Need for Speed Porsche Unleashed. I recently played that game for the first time. I found it pretty breezy in pretty much all the modes. What did you find so difficult about that game? See, now, unfortunately, there's no reply to this because I have to ask, what version did they play? Did they play the PC or the PlayStation? If they played the PlayStation, then we could just drop the conversation right now. But I don't know. In fact, this got me to go and look online, like to see a comparison. And I saw there was a pretty good one where they showed like the courses, and the top comment was, "These are two different games." Like, I mean, they really are very different. And yeah, the PlayStation one, the handling looked way like more responsive and arcadey. But assuming he's talking about the PC version, it could be my skill level just wasn't up to snuff at the time. That's one I had played without a steering wheel. So maybe I need to go back to that one. But I remember just like getting a ways into the career mode. Yeah, I think it was like the test drive career mode or something like that. And it would just, they would just want you to hit these times that just, it's like, good God, how am I going to do this? What, like for the handling? Yeah, like the levels that were torture for me were like these ones where you have to do like these perfect turns around these cones. Again, it'd probably be a lot better now for me with the steering wheel. So maybe I should go back and do it. But I think later on, like years later, like I want to say like early 2010s or 2012, 13, somewhere around there, I finally wanted to go back and I found a trainer so I could just skip through the levels. So I was like, all right, now I can finally see the rest of the game. And it got hard, but I remember I did the final level, the Monte Carlo, a 1v1 race in Monte Carlo, and that one, like, I did beat it, but I had to play dirty. Like, I remember thinking, there is no possible way I can beat this AI. But what I would do is I would just wait for it to just, we were both flying, and then it comes out, it pulls ahead of me on a curve, and then I just like rammed it as hard as I could on the curve to like really get it to spin out. And even then, it was still on me, I remember. But that was the only way I was able to do it. Like, I had to play dirty. So again, I'd have to go back and look at it and see just how much was me being less seasoned video game driver and how much is just the game itself. But yeah, if you played the PlayStation one, it's just not the same game. That's one I want to, that's one I'd really like to try in VR because, look, Need for Speed Porsche Unleashed is a perfect example of dated graphics but wonderful art design. Like every track in that game is just gorgeous. So, I mean, you go back and play it, yeah, you see how the graphics are dated, and it's still beautiful, So I have like nothing but respect for games that are able to pull that off. Okay, let's see. Russ, I admire your sense of humor because it relies a lot on subtlety, nuance, and making jokes without alluding to the fact that joke was ever even made. And it gives some examples of this, like Oh yeah, playing it cool with the Yeti in the PI office, or the Hammer in Veil of Darkness. Flavor in the charts. Okay. How would you describe the way you formed your sense of humor and its development? It seems like everything about your styling centers on cheery presentation and a touch of madness. I don't. This is probably going to be a disappointing answer, but I'm almost, for all that stuff, I want to say I'm almost just going completely on intuition. I just will kind of think about it. It's like, well, how can I frame? I'll just think, well, what would be a funny way to say this, or what would be a more fun way to present this, or I'll just have the idea first and then work the game around that. So it's almost like I'm just a fish following a stream. So it's like you're asking, like, well, how does the autopilot work? It's like, I don't know. It works. I'm sorry I don't have a better answer for that. Yeah, I'm just going with my intuition, really. So yeah, I'm just, vast majority of that stuff is on autopilot. However, I saw, yeah, somebody mentioned one of these things is conscious, and I want to do more of them, except I keep forgetting to, because I do love this in comedy, is like interrupting yourself. You know, like when somebody's getting, when somebody's just kind of getting flustered, like their brain almost can't process. Like, you're saying that you went and, why did you know, occasionally I do that on my own, but it's rare for me. So that's something I might want to more consciously cultivate if I see just perfect places to put it. But most of the time I forget about it. So, but yeah, I like it when people just kind of interrupt themselves because their thoughts are just like overflowing. And actually, I forget where I've seen it. I mean, I'm for certain from movies. I want to say maybe some Jerky Boys clips did that too. But there's a lot of really comedy gold in old Jerky Boys clips. But yeah, I'm afraid I don't have a good answer for you. Ross, have you ever considered building a cheap retro PC with an older OS like XP or 98 to run old games? Like, no, I've actually made go to a Curse Farms junk here. I'll put this in the links here. I have a cameo in Lazy Game Reviews where I talked about this very question. However, Clint sort of screwed with my audio levels, so the version on his video doesn't sound as good, though. You can see the original on Curse Farms junk. I'll link to that in the description here. So the short answer is no, because I don't want I don't want the hardware dependency. I want to be able to just run it all in the present day, you know? And yeah, okay, so keep moving on. Let's see. How do you feel about Aardman Animation's other non-Wallace and Gromit films and shows? I haven't seen too many of them. I saw Chicken Run. I thought it was like okay. I think I saw a little bit of Shaun the Sheep. From what I saw, it wasn't quite as much my thing, because there's two things Wallace and Gromit have going for it that I didn't see in the others. One is I'm definitely a big fan of surreal comedy, and for sure Wallace and Gromit has that just all over. I mean, it just, like, everything's a little weird, you know? And it also has like this kind of sinister vibe at times. Like I think of that penguin, you know, where it's just, it has like these dead black eyes and it just occasionally flash red. I think to show it blinking. It's like this is like slightly creepy, and I really love that about it. So it's like everything's all happy and nice, but I like how like there's an antagonist out there that's like darker. You don't even have to make it like anything that's like, you know, explicitly sinister. Just like that hint of it there that I like about it. So I guess I need to see more, but yeah, those are two aspects I really appreciate about Wallace and Gromit. I mean, Wallace and Gromit too. It's like what I would call like true family entertainment, which means that if you're an adult, you can still find it just as amusing as a kid would. And it's kind of rare that that family films do that. Those usually mean it's like kids can watch this. That's usually what family films mean now. But you know, ones that are sincerely funny for adults also, that's hard to pull off. So I really do appreciate stuff like that. Let's see. What are some quotes, poems, or texts that keep you going in the hardest and worst of times? You know, I don't know if I have like any outright quotes and stuff that are like I fall back on. So yeah, I'm not. It's not like in Warhammer, or you know, you have the the emperor's prayers to the emperor or something like that. However, I can actually get like music in my head that'll get me sticking. And like when I saw this question, the first thing that got me that came to my mind actually. Now this, I don't know how much of this is the music itself and how much is just image association with me. Is one of the tracks from Supreme Commander, where it's just the image I have in my head is just I have this like overwhelming battle ahead of me that I'm fighting against. It's like, well, we have our work cut out for us. We have work cut out for us. So it's just, it has like this steady kind of building pace that, you know, you're just gonna kind of, it's like, da 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 da. I'll link to it. I'll link to that in the description too. So I don't know. And it just gets me in that mindset. Like I have huge obstacles in front of me, but like it's like okay, we have a plan. We're gonna work towards it and try to overcome it. You know, and so it's the right frame of mind. But like other songs, actually, I don't even know why, but. You know, I mentioned Borderlands. This is when I first heard the song. The intro song to Borderlands in the credits, No Rest for the Wicked. I found myself just loving that song. I was, so it was like, you know, there's no rest for the wicked. Like, I just get it in my head that like when things like get really tough, it's like the way out of it is just to kind of try to overpower the bad situation. You know, well, if things are getting really hard, then it means you need to like step it up even more. Like that's kind of the attitude I get for a lot of like rough situations and get out of it. So I guess it's associations that I have with that. But yeah, it's like that. If brute force doesn't work, you're not using enough. Yeah, well, not necessarily that, but work for sure. There's lots of things. Brute force isn't the answer a lot of times, but like lots of work isn't always the best answer, but it's an answer that works for a whole lot of situations. That's the way. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. You know, it's not always the best tool for the job, but it works for a lot of different jobs. Like just lots and lots of work towards trying to get out of the situation that you're in or fix it or solve it, that sort of thing. So, I mean, well, as for quotes, I don't tend to like lean on this and think of it, but people asked me before. I do like that quote. Well, let's see. It's the same sort of mentality. I think this was, yeah, I mentioned this in another chat. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. And that's Calvin Coolidge. So yeah, I definitely, I wouldn't discount the other things like education and, you know, when it's possible, working smarter is great, you know? That's not always an option, you know? Sometimes just working harder is like the only option. So yeah, because you know, some people say, "Oh, work smarter, work not harder." It's like, well, yeah, that's great when it works that way, you know, but doesn't always. That's not always how things are, you know. Like, oh, okay. I was getting confused by Daniel's quote though, and my brain, I realized he was quoting Monty Python, The Holy Grail, but I thought he said Supreme Commander. So my brain was like mixing the two up and then like deciphering what happened. So there was a real delay in my thought processes there. So yeah, Daniel presented a quote for me to unencode, to decode there. Okay, let's see some more questions. What's your favorite part of the video making process? Editing, writing, recording, playing the games themselves, or something else? What's your least favorite part? Well, least favorite part is volume balancing, easily. 100%. The favorite part. Well, see, I want to say like more like kind of like I mean, I want to say it's like directing, but I don't even know where that comes in for like something like the Game Dungeon. So I guess it's sort of like a non-existent part between writing versus actually manifesting it and making it happen. You know, that's probably where it's most fun. Because writing, you can kind of be kind of grasping around, trying to figure out where you're going to get your hold to write something, and then you maybe decide, oh no, this isn't a good place to. This is kind of a weaker chunk. Maybe I just throw this out, start over on something else. So it's like once you have a foothold and like I'm starting to make it, I guess that's the part. I'm fine with letting other people play the game footage. I guess, yeah, I kind of do want to be writing my own scripts. However, well, okay, for something like Game Dungeon. However, if it was like a more open-ended thing, like, you know, something like Civil Protection or like just a one-off machinima video where it's like a storyline, other characters, I would be 100% fine with somebody else's script if I thought it was great, you know, because it's like it doesn't have to be me. I just want to work on videos that sort of meet my own standards. So if somebody has a dynamite script and I think there's just 0 point in changing anything, yeah, well, then let's use that and I'll try to make it. Yeah, I guess so. It's like I start envisioning this stuff in my mind, and then when I can envision how, yeah, this is going to be good, that's the part I like. So I don't know whether that's, see, if you had if this was like a full studio production, that would be kind of directing because you're there on the set, like some guy is running a camera, you know, getting the best shots for you, like that, you're kind of on board with what you want. Then you're working with the editor to make sure that what they want. You'd be talking to the actors to let them know, like, okay, you know, okay, like this, but a little crazier, or something like that. So yeah, I guess just sort of coordinating and overseeing everything, I guess, is probably my favorite part. But okay, let's see. But yeah, I'd be fine with other people's. Well, again, probably not for Game Dungeon because that's more personal. But yeah, for more what I would say more creative videos, I'd be fine with other people's scripts. But they would have to be pretty good. I'm gonna be very picky on that. So. Okay. Oh, somebody's talking about the value of owning a physical version of encyclopedia. And then they're wondering if I have thoughts on this because, you know, encyclopedias can become out. Well, some things on encyclopedias are going to be true probably for thousands of years. Other things are going to be outdated, you know, within weeks. So, yeah, I guess it depends on what you think lies ahead. I mean, if you're confident. Oh yeah, I guess. Well, yeah, it can also serve as a point of record because there can be Wikipedia sabotage sometimes. Though I would guess probably not as much for things that would make it into an encyclopedia, because those tend to be kind of more fact oriented. But maybe, yeah, there's value. I mean, that's how. I mean, I'm old enough. That's how I used to have to write papers in school, is by using the encyclopedia. It wasn't until, I think for me, college, that like education system was like treating information coming from the internet like seriously, and even that had to come from like really kind of legitimate sources. Whereas now you can pull it from all kinds of places. So I mean, yeah, I mean, growing up, I had to write all my reports doing like normal book research, from libraries and stuff like that. But yeah, on the flip side, let's say we have a Carrington event. That's what I mentioned, Invisible War, where we get a massive solar flare and that knocks out most electronics on Earth. Hey, it might be really nice to have those encyclopedias, especially if they have like practical knowledge. It's. I think the best way to look at physical encyclopedias, it's like it's like a backup in time. Like how you can make backups of your system for certain dates. That's well, like if your computer gets wiped out, you may not have everything you wanted, but it might be nice having that backup from 6 months ago or something like that. So I cannot click the book, Father. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Dying Light is to Dead Island what City Skyline is to SimCity. Yeah, I've beaten Dead Island before all the extra stuff. I played some of Dying Light, but I sort of got tired of it. So and I haven't played the new SimCity or City Skylines, so I'm not sure how that could be completely accurate or not. Dead Island might eventually get a game voucher from me. I'll see. That's one of those where it just triggered other thoughts in me that I think people might find interesting. Is there any news on uploading more archive copies of the videos like Game Dungeon, Freeman's Mind 2, etc.? I'm afraid that's low priority for me, but I can try to get up eventually. I kind of want to get my system more in order and move to 10 first, because I'm still trying to get back to the point where way back people were like offering to basically act as kind of external servers for me, where I could just, they had a spare drive and it was hooked up to the internet, so that they would give me credentials to just upload some files there, that just in case if I wanted to have like an offsite backup of information. I still need to take them up on that. So I'd like to get back to that, and then I'll be uploading like copies of all the videos. I mean, I wouldn't upload any, basically I'm not going to upload anything that I can't handle being leaked, so, but I'll probably put like a lot of rare games, some videos on there, that sort of thing, music. So if it's leaked, I don't care, So I won't be putting the movie script on there. Or passwords, that sort of thing. So, but yeah, when I get around to that, that'll be a good time. Maybe I could give a link to somebody else if they wanted to download from that. How would you feel your acting skills have improved over the years while working on your various series? Would you consider acting, voice action, or live action independent films if the opportunity presented itself? I don't even know if it has changed. Like, I may have just like hit my ceiling early on and it's not going to be much better. I don't know. I mean, as for the latter, voice, I mean, I guess if it was a great offer, yeah, I could, but voice acting is not really what I want to go down the road on. I just do that out of convenience. I mean, I'd much rather, again, I'd much rather be able to drift in the direction of directing, where I can kind of manifest great film or video ideas, That's sort of an innate urge I have, I guess. So, what have you read, watched, listened to since last time? Anything in your immediate list that you haven't gotten to yet? I don't know which list, like the games. Okay, so Well, for Red, let's see. I didn't get as well. No, this is right. I'm trying to think of what I was reading now. Yeah, okay, yeah, I did some. I just caught up on some. I'm catching up on some news lately for reading, but before that, I was rotting my brains with comic books. I finally got around to reading Transmetropolitan. It's good. I liked it. I was laughing at multiple parts in there. The best way to describe it is it's like it's like if Hunter S. Thompson existed in like New York City in the future, except like everything's more dynamic. Like so that's how I would describe it. Like everything's a little more over the top. It's fun. It's yeah. If you have like a cynical sense of humor like me, but my wife could tell you, I was laughing in multiple parts with it. Yeah, somebody's saying a very bright dystopian future. Yeah, that's not a bad way to look at it. Uh, so yeah, that got. I should maybe check out some more comic books that are kind of in, you know, I guess non superhero stuff that is kind of intelligently put together. Because I only have so much interest in like superhero ones, but yeah, no, I enjoyed that a lot. Let's see, I can't remember if I mentioned this last time, but I think the last book I finished before that was Spaceland by Rudy Rucker, and that one's out there. It's all about the fourth dimension. So yeah, if you're it and then yeah, I think I mentioned Rainbow's Edge by Werner Vinge. That might have been a few months earlier. As for what I watched, let's see. Okay, the last movie I saw, it was kind of a mix. Like it had a lot of scenes I thought that weren't so great, or I thought were kind of stupid, but also had some scenes that were really funny. Called Moonwalkers, has Ron Perlman. It's about a backup. I mean, it's a spoof, but it's about a backup plan for the government to try and get Stanley Kubrick to fake the moon landing in case the Apollo 11 isn't successful. So that they want we're landing on the moon whether whether it happens or not. So this is the fallback plan, and so he's Ron Perlman's a CIA operative to try and make this happen. Except things go awry. Yeah, I mean it sounds better. It sounds even better than it is, I think, actually, but it for sure has some really funny scenes in it. But other scenes I thought were just kind of I could skip through them. So yeah, let's see. I'm trying to remember what other movies I watched. I did not watch as many this past month. I was doing a lot on the video. Yeah, I mean, I think that one was from a week ago. I think that was the last time I watched something for entertainment. It was just like, okay, I gotta go to bed. Work. Okay, go to bed. There's still a lot of work to be done in the episode. Just go to bed. Jeez. Well, okay, maybe I can get in the habit of starting to write down what I'm watching then. I guess it probably wasn't that memorable then if I just can't remember it at all. Because normally, I've noticed when you can't remember things, sometimes you can still remember emotions. So you remember, oh yeah, I watched something and I really liked that, or it wasn't that great. So what I think is if I had seen something just great, I probably would have remembered it. So I guess I had say anything too great. Yeah, sorry, I'm just running dry. It was a lot of work this past month. So I'll try to keep more notes this time if people want me to keep updating and stuff. But yeah, I would definitely, yeah, if you're a fan of Hunter S. Thompson or just, yeah, somebody said a bright dystopia, yeah, or just lots of, Transmetropolitan also has lots of art where they show scenes of the city where all sorts of stuff is going on in the picture. So if you're a fan of art styles like that, then for sure check it out. See, that's something I saw in a comic book shop like years back. I thought, oh yeah, this looks kind of interesting. And then I just sort of forgot about it. And then I think somebody mentioned it in the chat like a month or two ago. And that reminded me, oh yeah, I was going to get around to that. Maybe I'll check it out now. So. Oh, somebody's saying, too bad the Hellboy movies suck. Oh, don't worry. Ron Perlman is in top form in Moonwalkers. Like, Ron Perlman is not the weak part of the movie. So, in fact, like every scene with him is basically just very watchable. Yeah, he plays this. Yeah, he plays the CIA operative who thought he was going to be going on leave, and he's a Vietnam vet who's a little PTSD. But I mean, he's very what? He's very he's very active. He still has it in him, like to get these combat situations. So yeah, I mean the funniest parts of the movie are also the most violent in that one. So. It's kind of this comedy of errors stuff, which some parts frustrating, other parts is just great. So, like, I'd say it's what it reminded me of a little bit. I'd say it's not as good, but is Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, which is a movie I really like. So, yeah, it's not as good as that, but we're getting in the same ballpark, is that sort of thing for Moonwalkers. Okay, yeah, got distracted here. You're a person who is well aware and very open about their biases, both in favor. Well, I don't always know them. You know, it's like in the Messiah episode. I just didn't even occur to me that the NPCs or soldiers dropping from the sky is something out of the ordinary. You know. Where do you think biases, specifically the ones related to the kinds of media we like and how it's presented to us, come from? Is it oh yeah, well, okay. To kind of the chase, they're asking like they're basically I think this person's basically asking, oh, are our biases a nature or nurture thing? It's like that's one of those questions that's probably thousands of years old. They're saying for the people. For example, do you believe that perhaps you could have enjoyed the writing in Life Strange if something had gone differently in your childhood? Or on the contrary, it's more like that you always would have been predisposed against it? I think I would, no. For Life is Strange, I think that's just more innate to my nature. I think I might have been more tolerant and been willing to give it more of a chance, depending on how I'd grown up. Because, like, again, when I was a teenager, I was playing Phantasmagoria too. That's a different style game than Life is Strange. I mean, it's just, you know, they're both like, they're both games, in a way, they're both games about being an adult in some ways, but it's about growing up. But Curtis Craig has different challenges. And man, that just hooked me like a fish there. No, but that was partially the timing too, but that was the sort of thing I was attracted to, you know? So there's other things where my interest in, I think a good metric is, like, if you think of things that you like and things you're interested in, does this feel like something that's just always been you? Or is it something that you got into it because of what happened to you, or somebody else was interested in it and they introduced you to it? So yeah, like, okay, see, here's an example. I might not have been into computers if I had had a different upbringing, because, you know, I would have been exposed to different things, and so my interest and everything would have manifested themselves a different way. But, you know, as far as things I find funny or entertaining or exciting or interesting, I think that probably is more of like my inner nature. So yeah, okay, you'll be able to ask questions in a little bit. Sorry, I'm just trying to go through well, this is why I have the voting system, because it didn't go so well when I just did questions as they came up. I think the chat quality improved once we start. People just voted on which questions made it to the top. So, let's see. So yeah, that's an ancient question. The nature nurture. It's for sure some of both. But what thoughts do you have on gaming in the '90s? Well, I guess it's kind of a broad one. I guess I see the '90s as a little bit of like, yeah, I mean, I don't know how to describe it, like a little bit of a golden age, because before the '90s, you couldn't realize games on quite the same level just because of the technology wasn't necessarily there in the '80s. Whereas you started having full color, lot of developments in technology in the '90s for gaming during that time. So, yeah. However, after the '90s, you still have plenty of great games, but for sure things got more corporate. Like you'd see kind of less risk taking, more kind of games that have a design by committee feel to them that started to come in, I think, in the 2000s. So the '90s is in between there, where the technology is catching up, so we're seeing all sorts of fantastic stuff, and people are still experimenting. Before that, the technology was rougher, plus it was way more Wild West in the '80s. Like, it was just, what is a game? Let's see if we can figure this out, and there would be lots of, so if you want like just the most, I'd say on average, if you just want the most wild ideas and they're out there and things you haven't seen before, the '80s is probably going to be better for that. But in the '90s, you have people. There's still plenty of experimentation, but you have people that were that like had visions. They were making come into life, and they were using the game as a medium, and they would make it, and there would just be some incredible stuff that came out of that. Whereas things got a lot more corporate after that. However, now it's just everything. Fine. You want to make a game like in the '80s or '90s style? Go ahead. Oh yeah, that was the other game I played. Kathy Rain. I beat that recently. I remember now because that's another kind of retro style game. But yeah, so now there's still the kind of corporate games by committee. If anything, that might have gotten worse because now you have just you're tripping over monetization in a lot of like big budget AAA games now, whereas you didn't have that ripping you out of the game more in the past. But you also have indie games just doing everything. So it's so now it's a Renaissance thing. So he's asking if it's any good. Yeah, I thought it was competitive with Gabriel Knight, like kind of the same style. However, I felt like the ending was like a little bit disappointing. Good music, good mood to the game. And the puzzles were all either I was able to figure this out or this would take me days to figure this out. So I just went through a walkthrough. So it was like either all or nothing as far as the difficulty. Like, it's like, oh yeah, this makes sense. Okay, I should try this. Or just like, I'm not going to figure this out. Like, so. But yeah, also, well, okay, I should keep moving. Let's see, hour and 45 minutes so far. My stomach's growling. Last month, you mentioned a considerable amount of misbehavior from misbehavior. I don't think misbehavior is the right word. Kids playing pranks, that's misbehavior. Or teens, college students, or just, when I think of misbehavior, I'm thinking of you don't want to follow the rules. You want to have fun, and even if that's illegal or dangerous, or I mean, this was malicious. This was coordinated and malicious. It's it wasn't just against me. It's a system to try to screw people out of their careers. Pretty much is what they had set up. So, I mean, the fact that they just caved after I said, I was gonna make I was gonna take formal legal action, says that this is just a filter that they're trying to rob you of your rights and they know they're in the wrong. However, if that works for 99% of the people, and I'm just part of the 1% that slipped through, well, then that's a very effective business model for them. So, you know, it's... Plus, mine was a particular oddity. I was lucky that they made so many mistakes that the protections into my contract came into play. You know, most people don't have that luxury. Okay, yeah, what's the rest of the question here? Oh, exactly. Okay, maybe I should start skipping some more. I was wondering if you'd be willing to tell us exactly what they did. I thought I covered that in the past chat, but well first, read the Escape from Machinima blog post on Accursed Farms. Yeah, it's two-parter. That was all accurate, except I was too generous towards them, and I was accepting their explanations for some things. So if there's stuff that's inaccurate in that, it's because I was relying on their word. They were just kind of bastards on it, so. Oh yeah, is there a game you fully wish to or intend to play that stands out as having interesting reason behind delaying it? No, it's usually just me just getting around to it. Or again, I'll delay games by season. Like one person was nice enough to gift me The Division. I don't necessarily have high hopes for that game, but for sure I'm gonna play that game during winter. I mean, the game's nothing but snow. So yeah, I'll get more in the mood for that. Then so also if I'm playing like a more arid or jungle themed game, I kind of want to do that more in the summer when it's hot, that sort of thing. But I mean, well, I guess Project Zomboid, I'm waiting for it to leave early access, though I might eventually cave in because it's been in early access a while now. So. Have you heard of YouTube removing the community subtitles from videos? Have we any backup plans to provide subtitles to your videos? And then the chat answered the question. There's a forum section. However, I warn you, I have almost no involvement with the subtitles these days. Volunteers help organize it, and then my wife ends up posting them to the videos. So if they're not up there, sorry. There's only so many. This is one area where, hey, the subtitles are what happens when I delegate. So judge for yourself how it's doing. It is working, but it's not always timely, I guess. So. Also, if there's, maybe I can get Daniel involved in this. I heard there was an update to user permissions for YouTube. It's not that I don't trust Daniel. It's that I want to have like zero risk or close as I can get to that, where like say his computer got hacked or something. If I could let somebody log in as me where they can add subtitles, but they don't have the power to delete the videos, I would be fine with like delegating that to some people. So basically or maybe he hits a button by accident, you know, or something. Basically, I want to remove that option. If someone can log into my account, but they just can't delete the videos under any, then that would be fine with like getting some volunteers to help with that. So let's see. How do you think games will ever reach a point where they can't get more visually realistic than they already are? Wait. Am I reading that sentence correctly? They can't get any more visually real. Oh, okay, I think that question at face value creates a complicated situation, but I think what he means is, will they get to the point where they can't improve upon the graphics because they look like real life? Yeah, he's saying, so for instance, you want to be able to tell the difference between the graphics of two games that are 10 years apart? I think in some instances we're looking at that already. Maybe not 10 years, but we're getting there. I mean, it's getting more and more subtle. However, getting to reality, it depends. Like, I think I think some of the most realistic games I've seen have been like driving games, like maybe some of the Project Car ones. Although, you know, I haven't played it. I have to look at it again. what was it, that PlayStation one, The Order? I remember that one looking pretty good, but I don't know if that was so good you would mistake it from real life. We could get there, and they're talking about uh okay, yeah, again, these are some awkward sentences here. Let's see. They're asking of they're, he's saying a giveaway of the game is how liquids are simulated, especially water, and clouds have also been proven hard to emulate in a game. Look, those clouds in Microsoft Flight Simulator look pretty good. I mean, they look like clouds to me. As for water, I've seen some demos from a video where, I mean, that's kind of rigged because they're probably using the whole card's processing power on the physics. That look pretty good, but yeah. No, I'd say the biggest tells are people, because our brains are wired to notice differences, with the uncanny valley. And that's not just a graphics fidelity thing. That's just married to an animation quality thing also. So even if the graphics are basically perfect, that can be worse if your animation isn't 100% on point, because then you trigger the uncanny valley and it just looks weird. Like I think I mentioned before, well, maybe I'll link to this too. The Creepy Wives Club. It's this cutscene from Medal of Honor, one of the Medal of Honor games, where the graphics are pretty great, but man, the animation, it looks like they're wearing human skin. Like, that's the feeling it creates. So yeah, someone's saying they love it. Well, you probably, just look up Creepy Wives Club on YouTube. It's actually, I wouldn't mind if somebody were to re-record that in higher resolution. It was a little blurry in the video. It'd be nice to see that at 1080 or higher, with full resolution. I think it would just bring it out even more. But yeah, I'm not worried about that. In my opinion, just any game with a big budget just looks great now. So, I mean, big budget and good art direction. Yeah, thankfully, we're backing away from the tinting in games. So, that seems to be a phase the industry kind of got over. I mean, if I had to... It could be there was more thought put into it than this. I don't know. If I just had to completely guess, I'd say, well, Gears of War, we're going to make things gritty, so we're going to tint everything because we can do it now because we have the Unreal Engine 3. And then Gears of War sold very well. All right, guys, you saw it. I wanted Gears of War clones. Hey, they tinted it. I want it to look like Gears of War. Producers, Gears of War solo. And then we have a flood of tinted games, and they can do... So it's I think one is partially success of Gears of War, and two, they have a new toy in the engine, so developers are going to use that. And just taste and art, classic standards and art direction be damned. We have a new toy. We're just going to push it for everything. So yeah, I'm not worried about maximum reality now. I mean, it's all looking great to me. So. It all comes down to art direction. Well, art direction and budget, So, yes, it's going to be looking better and better, but that's not... I'm finding I don't care about that nearly as much. It's like I care about, like, what am I looking at? Like, what kind of mood does this game have, I think that's one of the reasons Deus Ex was drawing me in more than Human Revolution, because... Human Revolution, we're smearing yellow over everything, and the music's just not gripping me the way the original was. Whereas we have like this dark, moody areas, whereas the graphics are clearly inferior with but it had a mood, and that's what I care about when I'm playing the games. So I'm saying 2007 is a great point in game tech still to this day. I'm almost disappointed that Crysis is getting a remake, because I think the original Crysis might be the most anachronistic game in terms of technology out there, because that was, like, how many years did it take before other games started looking about on that level? It's like, Like, it was just, you know what? We can do this right now. We're making a PC only game. Let's do it, you know? So I guess I guess it shows how far ahead the PC was. However, it both was and it wasn't because, you know, yes, it technically can do all that. However, if we want to sell a lot of copies of the game, we can't be pushing the graphics like this. So somebody's saying, didn't Crisis do fluids and water relatively rather well? Crisis did everything rather well from a visual perspective, from what I remember. Okay, I remember them having some tinting I didn't like, but I think you could disable that, so. Oh, this is a tough one. Okay, Russ, you were given complete control of a science fiction society, similar to Firefly's Alliance. What is your first decree? You know, okay, I'm afraid I don't. People are going to think this is blasphemy, but I didn't really get into Firefly. I watched an hour of the first episode and just sort of gave up on it. It just wasn't roping me in, sorry. I know some people are fanatical about that series. More enjoy, you know? Like, but it just didn't grab me, so. Well, I think some people are still upset on me about me not really getting into Deep Space Nine, but you know, I'm sure there's still some good Deep Space Nine episodes out there that would appeal to me. But I want more anomalies, you know. How long is the first episode? Well, I think the first episode is like a double one. You know, sometimes TV shows do that as a pilot, so it's like an hour and a half, I think. Okay, but complete control of a sci-fi society. Well, I guess it depends if we're talking like right now or in the future. I mean, I guess if we're in the future, yeah, well, I can't even say without knowing what the society is, you know, like what you do first makes a big difference as to how things are running. I mean, like let's say I wanted to take steps to make things a sci-fi society. I think like if we had to act like right now, like let's say for the US, I'd say like our two priorities are just like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Like, so contain the virus and make sure everything's not going to go to hell with a large portion of the populace not being able to work, you know? So, yeah, I think that's what I said. I think one of the previous chats, like, if I need a solution tomorrow, like, I think it's hard to argue against, like, basic income. I think in the long term, we probably want maybe a different system or different ways of supporting that. Like, it's a vulnerable thing, but I look at it like right now as like, let's stop the bleeding kind of perspective, you know? So I guess like basic income, you know, healthcare coverage, and maybe even fascist-like control of containment of the virus. So I want stick and carrot. So fine, you lost your job. Well, good thing, you're going to be supported and you have more free time to do whatever you want. And you're not going to get kicked out of your apartment or not have enough to eat, you know? But, you know, we are going to crack down on people spreading the virus. And then the thing is, there are so many fail points coming. Like, it's like, I don't, but see, that can wait until after tomorrow or next week, you know? So it's like the stock market's gonna crash, I think, at some point. And it's like, I don't know of the best way to handle that. So I would have to like start getting some advisors. It's like my eventual goal would get to a point where we don't need endless growth to still be all right. It's like, oh, we have disruptions to production. Okay, well, I guess things will be a little tighter for now. You know, as opposed to just end of the world worse than the Great Depression suffering levels. So, you know, it's stock market crashes, crypto moons again. I don't know the use of moon as a verb in that context. Like, so, yeah, I don't know that particular use of the word moon as a verb. I guess eclipses. But yeah. So somebody's saying Henry Ford absolutely hated everyone who was an expert in their field. So maybe do the opposite of that. Yeah. Well, yes and no. See, what you need to do is get the experts that have been ignored for like a century, basically, that are just way too radical. Maybe listen to those. But yeah, like there was a quote I left out of the video that's something like, anyone who thinks infinite growth is possible on a finite planet is either a madman or an economist. So like we need like way bigger outs. Basically, I would have to navigate what's the smoothest way to collapse the existing economy because it can't be maintained the way it is now to something that is more sustainable with the least amount of suffering. I do not have easy answers for that. That's a real, like, that's a real kind of big brain problem there that might need to draw from different fields. And I feel like a lot of the way we think about things, it's all still like within like this certain frame. Like if you look at like politics or how we structure society, I feel like, yeah, there's different viewpoints that are scattered around there, but we need to even think like a lot differently, with, which economic systems are like ready to go where, yeah, I would try. Well, there's also not just economic growth, but environmental sustainability. I think which economic systems advocate for, what? Maybe we do need people to work less. There's still essential work that we need, but maybe we don't need to be having all these telemarketers and having like this level of consumption of resources. How do we have a smooth economic contraction? This is like science fiction stuff right now in current discussions. I feel like these are complicated problems. So, but if we're talking about a sci-fi society, then some of these problems could have already been solved, and they're just completely different things we need to be looking at. Like, oh man, there's a comic I love. Okay, I'll put this in there's gonna be a lot of links this time. It's from the comic Overcompensating, where it's something like these protesters that are like against like gay rights or something like that, and the characters watching that saying, like one of them saying, "Gee, I wonder what sort of weird biases and hangups we'll have in our old age." And his girlfriend's like, none. We'll be more enlightened. And it's just like 50 years later, and it's just like, gene-boosted animals should not be allowed to interface with the God seed, like humans only. Like, and then they're holding up their own protest signs. God, I love that comic. I'll link to that one. That one's great. So it's, the problems of the future could be very different than the ones we have right now, What do you think makes a good comic, just in general? Well, for webcomics, if it's funny, Let's see. BMW has recently announced that they're considering having BMW owners pay a monthly subscription to access vehicle features such as heated seats. In other words, cars as a service. What are your thoughts on this horrifying nightmare dystopia? We are rapidly sliding into? It's so bad already for gaming. See, with other types of media, I'm not so worried about, because it's like there are ways, there's not necessarily legal ways around it, but there are ways around it. Like, you can preserve text, you can preserve video, music. So no matter what little countermeasures they throw up, if you're determined enough, you can back it up. It just might, while jumping through a lot of hoops. Games are ones where you really can't, depending on what it is. But yeah, I've heard that they do some of this for farm equipment. That's super bad, man. Yeah, my sci-fi society would be good to farmers, Yeah, like, you want the people who are feeding your populace to be comfortable, and not beat them up. I think that's, actually here in Poland, there's Yeah, they have multiple political parties, and one of them is basically the Farmers Party. That it always gets like a certain percentage each year. You know, I think it's only single digits, but it's like 6 or 8%, something like that. I was thinking, well, that's healthy. You know, I like the fact that there's always going to be some farmers at the table. You know, farmers are really important for civilization. You know, but but that said, for something like BMWs, I don't see BMWs as essential to civilization. So I don't. I mean, of course, I'm against like eradicating this stuff in general. However, if this just keeps persisting, I'm thinking, well, maybe this is a good area for people to get upset over and have pushback because, or just really irritate people with it, because this is an area where I was thinking, okay, this, you know, maybe see the heart. I would say the real gearheads are gonna thinking, oh, what, you think you're gonna stop me from modding my car and having heated seats if I want to? And then they're gonna tear apart the BMW and make it the way they want to. Whereas everybody else is just gonna irritate, and maybe this is what actually gets like some politician to actually start thinking about this issue and maybe move it against it in that direction. Like, what, my BMW? You know, so that's what gets them pushing against it. So I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe this could backfire in a good way. Yeah, well, actually, I think I left that out. In the last game dungeon. Oh, geez, if I didn't just lose my thought already. You know, I'm not getting enough air in here. Well, I tend to shut the door so I don't disturb Magda, but. Oh, yeah. I was actually hoping the Xbox One was going to stay the course because all signs were pointing to them just getting murdered in the market. But they ended up backing off, like not allowing used games, not requiring the 24-hour check-in, and later they got rid of the Connect requirement also. But I was hoping they weren't going to budge an inch, because if they had done that, then they would have just been murdered in the market, and then the industry would have looked at that and it would have caused a chilling effect. They would think, wow, we better not do anything like what Microsoft did. So every time it's brought up in the future, it's like, hey, remember the Xbox One, guys? We don't want to, we can't go too far in that direction. So I was thinking, man, that would have been, I was actually, I might have been, in a perverse way, I might have been one of the biggest fans of the original Xbox One, just because I thought, I was hoping for that chilling effect. So maybe, it's hard to say. I'm not too optimistic about it, but maybe BMW can have a little bit of that, and that's not such a loss, because the main people who, because in games, the games get destroyed. Again, if you're a real gearhead, I get the feeling they take that as challenge accepted. If they want their BMW the way, a new one with all this crap the way they want it, just without the control from BMW. So the only people who are really getting hurt by this are kind of, I would guess, kind of luxury owners. So it's like, well, fine, then they can kind of, well, I guess they can afford it, so they may not care, but it might still bug them psychologically, you know. So yeah, I was kind of hoping Microsoft wasn't going to change a thing from the Xbox One. Not that I didn't want, not because I actually wanted that stuff, but because I was hoping for a misfire, you know, like just explode in their face, chilling effect for the entire industry, so nobody's even thinking about it. Because it's like that they would serve as a warning to all other game companies, you know. That would have been great, you know. What are your thoughts on brain-computer interfaces? Like Elon Musk's Neuralink. Gabe Newell seems pretty big on applications in gaming especially. I don't have a strong opinion on it. I mean, I think the people that's like really gonna have a lot of appeal for are maybe disabled people who maybe, you know, like partially blind, or, you know, have trouble like moving their arms, or don't have arms, you know, that sort of thing, because then that could open up some doors for them. I don't know. It's who knows where we're going this with AI, because a good AI might be able to recognize patterns and just read what you want, you know? But I think we're a long ways off from that. But I think there have been cases where, well, I guess this is a little bit different, but like where blind people have been able to see a dot, you know, from just kind of connected. But that might have involved actual surgery. I don't know. But yeah, I don't have strong. It's not something I'm holding my breath on. Whereas VR, I'm just chomping at the bit for it. So, what are your thoughts on World of Warcraft? And he got downvoted apparently. Um, it's sort of a mix. Like, you know, I was thinking. Well, I guess I have a couple thoughts. I guess I was kind of more of a fan of pre-Warcraft 3 styling of the Warcraft universe, where it was like a little closer to Warhammer. And in 3, they went more kind of cartoon-ish. And that sort of kind of made it, I don't know, not Disney-fied, but something in that direction with the art style and the direction. And then World of Warcraft is an extension of that. So I kind of like the old style where it's more just kind of traditional fantasy stuff. But I like how, like, I still read about like World of Warcraft news every now and then. I mean, I was never a subscriber for it, but however, I did run around in an emulator for it just to kind of see the world of it. I like how imaginative some of it gets. Like I was thinking just the other day how I was thinking, yeah, I wouldn't mind playing another kind of high fantasy game, you know, where you're just seeing all these wondrous things like magnificent, like crystal caverns, floating islands, dimensional portals, like just sentient moss, you know, just let's just go all out there with fantasy. And I was thinking a lot of mainstream fantasy games are kind of more low fantasy. Like, I still need to play it. Well, I've played part of it. Like, isn't The Witcher kind of like that? Elder Scrolls, it's kind of low fantasy. What are what are some other pop? I mean, I guess you still have the high fantasy with some of the turn-based ones or the isometric ones, but I wouldn't mind seeing like so I really appreciate that about World of Warcraft and that I mean yeah, I watched the new trailer for the new one. What's it called? I forget the sky shattering one. I was thinking, wow, that looks pretty cool. They're shattering the sky to a new dimension. And then apparently you can hook up with, you have to choose an additional faction, and one's like fairy people, one's vampires, one's paladins, and I forget, I think the other one's necromancers or something. Well, yeah, that sounds fun. And then there's this other like Land of the Dead world or so. Yeah, like I was thinking the other day, like King's Quest 6, the King's Quest series kind of had that high fantasy going for it. And I'd like to see more of that. Like, I mean, I'm not against low fantasy. Yeah, Gothic was another low fantasy one. I'm not against that, but I would, I really, I like kind of seeing that just kind of wild, imaginative stuff. Okay, I guess I should get this out of the way now. The movie is probably going to be more low fantasy because it's more focused around the story I want. However, if I had to make a sequel to it, I would take it high fantasy direction. So it's, I mean, I think both can be cool. I just feel like we're maybe having a bit of a dry spell for high fantasy stuff. So, yeah, it's, so I appreciate that. I love some of the music for World of War, not all of it, but like the login theme for World of Warcraft. I really like that. You know, I like the opening music for like Elwyn Forest for the humans. I still absolutely just hate that kind of combat, but so I'm not tempted to get back into World of Warcraft, but it's I appreciate the world of it. I mean they definitely World of Warcraft again. The cartoonish style isn't quite my thing, but for sure I can appreciate that it has good art direction. Like, you know, that they definitely have a vision. They're making it work, and you know, lots of colors. There's a lot of areas with nice feels to them. So, yeah. But yeah, I haven't really kept up with the storyline that much. But I occasionally will read about. Oh yeah, in fact, sometimes if I find an article I'm interested in, I'll save it and then read it on my tablet later. I recently saved one on PC Gamer where apparently MMO drama. I love reading about that. Uh, Apparently in World of Warcraft Classic, in the original like kind of mini expansion, the was it the Gates of Von Kira or however you pronounce it? You know, this kind of insectoid, mysterious desert temple. Yeah, no, that's an example of a desert that sounds cool to me because that seems super mysterious, full of like this weird insect race. Like, yeah, seems like there's lots of secrets over in that desert, you know. Well, in the original World of Warcraft, it was like it apparently required an incredible amount of work and cooperation in order to open up the expansion, to open up the gates to this new area. And they're going through that again with World of Warcraft Classic, except somebody's sabotaging that or like betrayed a player, and it's like it's causing like maximum MMO drama. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna read this later. So I haven't read that article yet, but I've saved it to check it out. I love. I really do enjoy like MMO drama, like just backstabbings, just petty power struggles, that sort of thing. So yeah, you're free to send me those too. The stories. I need to catch up on the ones that were sent to me years back for the birthday video. Yeah, somebody saying that they heard entire guilds were betraying each other to the opposite factions by stealing farming spots. Yeah, see, stuff like that. And then when people really give like the play-by-play of like how this lays out, if there's supplemental stuff to go with it, like dialogue of people just losing their minds over it, I find that stuff hilarious. It's fun to read. Well, actually, recently I read in EVE Online there was a change to the game where these places that I forget who makes EVE Online, that the company the developer says previously were safe strongholds to put your valuable stuff. They changed the rules so that over time they started to become vulnerable if you don't do anything about them. And this person figured out like this battle plan to just go and hit all of them. And then he hit one and it was just like the mother load where it contained all these like legacy battle plans, like just basically stuff you can't even get in the game anymore. And they put if you were to sell this for like game currency and transfer that to money, the equivalent value would be like $60,000. Like, so I love reading. Yeah, it's like I said in the birthday video. I'm not the biggest MMO fan, but I love the stories that come out of them. So if you have just like really interesting stories, especially stuff that involves like drama or conflict or, you know, or just insane stuff. I love stuff like that. That wasn't just for the birthday video. You can keep sending me stories like that. So. You said before that you're not a big fan of Nintendo games, NES games. Do you have any favorites? Maybe some soundtracks? Yeah, well, it's mostly the palette that I don't like so much about Nintendo games. Well, out of the ones I played, I guess maybe Mario 3 probably be my favorite. I feel like even for the palette, Mario 3 it made it work, you know? But it's like a lot of the games I wouldn't be huge fans of. I probably would like them if they had just like a 256 color remake, you know? But let's see. I actually haven't played through the original Metroid, though I have played the remake / reimagining Metroid Zero Mission. So let's see. I remember Double Dragon being kind of fun. Well, there was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, although that still felt like a downgrade compared to the arcade of. No, I'm thinking of the sequel. Yeah, no, the original one had great music to it. The gameplay kind of threw me off a little bit. Yeah, game soundtrack. It's probably. You don't need to ask me that. You know, my views on what are the best NES soundtracks are probably not going to change from like because there's some people that are so hardcore into NES that they will tell you just the drop of a hat what are the best soundtracks for it. So my guess is, like the Mega Man games or Castlevania, So my guess is my opinion on it is probably not going to differ that much from whatever the consensus is. So. Yeah, I'm seeing the chat talking about a clone of Counter-Strike or something, taking that seriously, capital R. Yeah, I love stories like that where people would take stuff just take the games way too seriously. That's always entertainment for me. So, it's like, oh, okay, where's this gonna go? Okay, I may start skimming more of the questions because this is going on here. Would you want to be the step beyond VR? What revolutionary type of video game comes after it? I don't know, man. I'm pretty happy with even 2D games. VR, I kind of want more for like being able to explore the world. Like, see, VR is better for the immersion. I don't even know if it's necessarily better for the gameplay. It depends on your taste, but there's a lot of game. Like, really, what I want to do with so many games is play the game normally, and then go. Well, I don't know. Play the game normally, and then go visit that world in VR. However, a lot of that hinges on motion sickness for me. And I was thinking, if I can, maybe that'll. See, I'm still in the DK2. Maybe once I move to the Plus, that'll get better. But if it doesn't. Actually, I was thinking maybe even a downgrade. I put on Twitter, there was this holographic monitor that they announced earlier, and it looked promising. So that might be like the best, well, not the best of both worlds, but the best compromise between normal gaming and VR, where you're getting your 3D pop-out effect and see inside the monitor and stuff, but it might not be so immersive that it's triggering motion sickness, But, yeah, I need to move to 10 and get on the Odyssey Plus. That's a big drive of it for me. I wanted to make the GUI video before I did that. Now I need to move to it. But there's, I mentioned how in Revenant there's like a checklist of things you have to do. For me, there is a massive checklist of things I need to do before I personally can move over to 10 and be comfortable with it. Because I have to remember all these scenarios I use software for making the videos or things that I use and make sure that'll work in Windows 10. If it doesn't, find a substitute, that sort of thing. Or if I have to use different software, find the procedure for doing that in the different software. So it's a big laundry list for me. And then there's the whole GUI customization that I'm going to doing. So that's going to take some time, but I'm feeling the pressure. I'm really hoping to be doing that this year. I would say this month, but I got a lot to do this month. So. Oh yeah, I did get your email about the person asking for a voice cameo from me and Craig for cell protection. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I just haven't replied to your email yet. Sorry. I'm just trying to beat back the chaos. But yeah, I'll try to send you a reply. Let's see. Somebody's asking for a different organization of the thread so that it's hidden which questions get the most votes. If somebody wants to set that up, sure, but I don't want to have to. This works okay right now, the system. So for somebody to make it work better, they're gonna have to take the initiative. Okay, I would skip this, but for time, but I figure this is one I should answer. As someone who's about to get fired, I thought I'd ask you about your experience as someone who's worked tons of different jobs. He's basically only worked a single job his whole life in security. Man, how often does that happen now? People working a whole same job their whole lives. You're the exception, man. How did you manage to stay sane while basically living week to week, not knowing exactly what you'll be doing? And it feels like he's fallen down to an awful depression spiral again, which is what caused him to get fired in the first place. Okay, so unfortunately, some of this advice may or may not work while there's a pandemic, in which case I apologize. But um, the short answer is start making plan B, C, D, E, and F. Like, just have a plan for. So it sounds like you're in between a rock and a hard place. So you need to kind of I'd say it's very probable you do have options. However, they might get really out there. So it's like, I mean, hey, okay, look, I'll confess, I'm not saying this because I'm like trying to sound unpatriotic or anything, but I think even if I hadn't met Magda, there's a high chance I would not be in the United States by now, just from cost of living. Like, that was my main, like, even before I met her, like, one fan, like, was kind of inviting me to Romania, and I was toying with the idea of possibly moving there, just because it's like, if you can imagine doing your job, but then you can be okay. Yeah, you can make groceries and not have to worry about that. You can make rent and not have to worry about that. That is so huge. So even though it's, it's not maybe the kind of life you were envisioning or had planned, it's like, man, I'm a fan of survival, So it's, yeah, so I guess, so here's some starter points for you. I guess one, just see what kills you in that situation is the uncertainty. It's like, what am I going to do after this many months or after my money runs out? Because that just tears you apart. That's why, when me running a sci-fi society, preventing that from happening in the first place would be like close to top priority. That's just, well, I guess, okay, well, you're about to get fired, so that's good in the sense that you have time, So figure out how to apply for unemployment. Figure out the process for, let's say unemployment runs out. What are your options then? Okay, so maybe see if there's some family you can fall back on. Again, you could possibly look at moving to, I have one friend, I've heard of some people moving to India or like the Philippines or Thailand, where maybe you can work online find jobs you could do online that maybe don't pay enough to get by in the United States, but you can scrape by in another country, Or hey, I mentioned it only half jokingly, if just check out that site, Fellowship for Intentional Communities, where, yeah, you want to, hey, you don't know what you do. Maybe you can find a community where, you don't have a job, but you're willing to do farm work. All right, welcome to our group, buddy. Okay, maybe you have to get tested now before you can enter the community. But I mean, hey, just like I said, it's probably not what you were planning. Your life is probably not going to be heading the way you thought it would. I mean, and this is all on top of looking for other jobs, but we have an economy that's going to be going to hell. So yeah, that may not be in the cards. So just come up with a plan B, plan C, plan D. So make that your new job for right now, is like, okay, you're going to start off the day and just do research, just do research like all day, and just maybe it doesn't pan out. Maybe some angles do. Just have a whole bag of tricks for what you can try, and just keep shifting to the next thing. So as long as things don't work, I mean, just, again, it may not be what you prefer, but like, if we're talking survival, man, like, again, things are not hopeless for you. Again, you're about to get fired. You haven't even been fired yet. So yeah, you definitely have some maneuverability. I mean, I feel worse for the people who are just like, just like at the complete end of their rope, and they don't even have like the resources to get to like some of these things that I'm talking about. That's where it's like really a systemic failure. So, yeah, that stuff can get to me. But yeah, that's what I suggest. Like, time to get creative, So yeah, maybe you're depressed. You don't have the job you thought you were going to, instability, and you're working on a farm all day. But hey, you know what? Your stomach's full and you have a roof over your head. Hey, well, that's a platform that you can maybe develop other plans from, Or maybe you'll start getting some hobbies that you like, and maybe that turns into like hobby income later. So it's, okay, yeah, somebody's mentioning that. Get a skill set that gets you a job in the Army, but not fighting in the front line. Yeah, I forgot about that. That's another for some people. You know, I had a friend who was basically ready to join the military as a last resort, but they couldn't because their credit was too bad. And he's there saying they will consider ex-cons, but they will not take somebody with bad credit. You know, it's so yeah. It just I guess the thing to keep yourself from letting the depression get to you is you have a new job now, and that's figuring out what you're going to be transitioning to, and realizing you have a lot of options. You may not like a whole lot of them, but there are options there in your position, and just kind of use. And hey, what I've found is even if you don't like where you end up, but it's stable enough, nothing focuses you on what you would rather be doing with your life than having a crappy job. You know, it's like, yeah, you know what? It's like, I think I'd really rather be doing something like along these lines. You know, maybe you want to like get into studying science, or hey, you know what? Maybe I would like to be a plumber or something like that, you know, and then you might start taking a class or two online and then eventually transition that in the long term or something. So, or if you have other skills that maybe see if there's possibilities for those. So yeah, it's, I wish I had better answers, but that's what I would do in that position. Just, okay, time to start coming up with a bag of tricks, you know, plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. You know, no shame, man. Like it's gotta, that's unfortunately what it takes right now. Yeah, we're not in utopia, I'm afraid. Okay, let's see. Somebody's asking me about like the current. I may start skipping some more. They're asking about the current state of like Polish politics. I haven't been keeping up with it very well. Are you willing to? And I think they're a little bit. Yeah, they're confused about citizenship. You can have dual citizenship. You know, you don't have to give up one to get the other. However, I probably won't be a Polish citizen anytime soon, just because I would need to get my act together with learning more of the language. But I do hope to be able to be able to apply for a permanent residence permit. So I wouldn't be able to vote or anything like that. But you know, I wouldn't have the same level of rights, but I would be allowed to stay. So, do you prefer real books or an e-reader? They can both be. You know, it's like they can both be nice. But I've read so many books on my tablet now. I think I might prefer that just because with books you don't have to. It depends on the situation. You know, if you're going out somewhere, like at a doctor's office or something, you might want a book. You know, whereas you know if you're just reading, you have to kind of like some books you really have to like practically break the spine in order to get them from flipping shut, or like really tape them down, or you accidentally tear the pages when you're flipping. Whereas the tablet just go like that. Although my software is acting buggy for it now. Like it used to have a certain bug. I updated it and I fixed it, but now it's like I swipe, nothing happens. I have to like swipe it twice and then it does it. However, if I press a button on the top, then it'll move by the page. So that's not so bad, but yeah. But at the same time, books don't take power. You know, actually, it's funny. I don't get as many books here now because I'm in Poland, so it's hard to come by English reading material. So it's mostly digital. But the times that I do, it's funny. I'll actually find, or if I get up to, if I'm eating and I get up to get some water or something, I realize by muscle memory, I found myself reaching to turn the power off to the book because I was so used to doing that for the tablet to save on the battery power, you know? So, but yeah, I guess an e-reader. Yeah, and somebody's mentioned a Helios 2 email. I got the email. They sent me multiple emails. Stuff had to be culled from the follow-up. Let's see. Did you ever archive YouTube videos that you enjoy? He's noticed many videos I've watched in the past have been slowly disappearing without a trace. Yeah, it's one of those things I'm meaning to do, and I did a little bit, but not enough. However, I got lucky. College Humor not long ago took down just like all the videos on their homepage, and whatever's left now is on YouTube, and they took down some of those. I fortunately, when I made that episode for the Halloween Sampler, I grabbed all of the Phantom of the Office episodes, so I have all of those. And actually, I grabbed another video from them I was remembering a while ago. I was like, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that again. And it just wasn't on YouTube. I could not find it. And that's when I discovered their website was down. I was thinking, oh man, I hope somebody out there made a larger archive of College Humor. Or if they haven't, maybe start right now. Because their older stuff is just great. Like the stuff in the early 2010s, like it's great. But yeah, the video I was thinking of was like Josh's Mind House Sniper. And I realized, oh, they might have removed that because he uses a prop gun in it, and then maybe that alarmed the algorithm on YouTube. So they just said, oh, we'll just take the video down, not deal with the hassle. But it was funny. It's about this guy having PTSD in the office. There's some parts of it that are just so funny. But yeah, I guess but thankfully I checked on my hard drive and I did manage to keep that one. So yeah, I guess if you really want that, I guess you can hit me up. I'll upload it somewhere. But yeah, if anybody knows of the College Humor Archive, I'd say that's one for sure. I should probably do this for a bunch of other channels. I mean, I think a lot of stuff from Magic Hugs is pure gold. Or some other, or that True Enough channel. I just haven't had time. Maybe this is something volunteers could help out with. They could just download this all, have an archive just there, just in case, you know. Okay, I should skip some more. Yeah, so it was asking about the weather, so I think I'll skip that. It's very hot right now. Not Louisiana hot, but hot. I have a fan going on me this whole time. I'm at the point where I have a fan on me like most hours of the day because it's on me when I'm at the computer. It's not when I go out to exercise, not when I eat, and when I go to bed, it's on. Like, I don't have it blowing at my face, but I have it just kind of blowing at my legs because I would probably wake up super congested if it was on my face. But it gets too hot otherwise for me. I don't have great heat tolerance either, though. Somebody's asking if we should revisit the Stanford prison experiment. I heard that maybe it's either that one or another one I'm getting mixed up in. I heard that maybe they drew the wrong results, or like they colored the samples, or like there were other variables that they weren't accounting for. So yeah, maybe we should redo it. I mean, just have some safeguards to step in if it gets too crazy, you know. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the Stanford prison experiment was that. It doesn't strike me as that traumatic. I guess just be ready to intervene, you know. Or someone's saying, wasn't it staged? Maybe it was staged. I don't know. Yeah, so well then all the more reason to debunk it. You know, fine, let's run it 100 times on different groups and just see what the results are. How many people actually drift towards the role that they're experiencing? How much drift, you know? That one doesn't sound like it's just too scarring ethically. As long as you intervene if it starts to get a little out of hand, you know. I think that's the main thing. I mean, the one that's more, geez, what was it, Milgram? Was that the one where you're pretending to shock somebody? That one could kind of mess with people. I could see that kind of messing with us. So yeah, I mean, once you start getting into outright torture, you got to have more safeguards for the studies that you're doing, but. Oh, yeah, okay. In your big games list video, you said you were keeping a second list of games you weren't interested in, but like the soundtrack. Is that a list just for your own sake? Or do you have plans to dedicate a section of your site to that too? I hadn't really had plans for it, but I have no problem sharing it. I think I did on the Curse Farms junk when I went through the 1100 games. I think at one point I showed that. What if geez, maybe I could do that now. Let's see. Now, this is lacking because I only started doing it. I I only started doing it within a year or two, so I'm missing. I'm sure I'm missing lots of grades. Okay, let me see. I'll change the window it's tracking. Wait, no, that's the wrong. Well, here, yeah, no, I'll just change me. Okay. No, wait, I can't. All right. Properties. Okay, so it's on that window, and I'm gonna switch it. There we go. All right. Hopefully you can read that. That's the soundtrack. No. That's the almost tab. So, okay, so there's the soundtrack tab. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of. Okay, there it is. You can pause it if you want to see it. Page. Whoa, no, I didn't even go that far down. Okay, hold on. Page down surprised me. Okay, so stolen down to Super Hypercube. Then let's scroll down to Project High Rise. Scroll down to. Oh no! Oh shoot! You guys can't see the very bottom. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. So, yeah. Okay, so start again. Stolen to Robocraft. I'll just do it in chunks. Don't have my glasses on. Something work groups. Okay, I'll just let it linger there. Go down halfway. Let it linger a bit. Go down some more. Linger. Go down some more. Linger. Go down some more. Linger. Go down some more. Some of these might not be the best ever. It's just I saw the trailer, and I thought it might have potential. So, some of these are slam dunks, but others of these, like, I'll be willing to check it out, you know. Okay, so let me change it back to the chat now. There we go. All right, so yeah, you can just pause it on YouTube there. So there's the, well, whoops. There's the list for you. Let me bring the chat back. Somebody's saying Space Station 13 is horrid. This is not the games list. This is games that may have good music list. So that list says nothing about the quality of the game. This says the music might be all right, unless I mixed up some entries, because I was copying over some past lists. Maybe I put it in the wrong column. Oops. But I guess just, we'll see. Donkey Kong Country. I know Donkey Kong Country has great music, you know. So, I don't know. It looks like they were replying to somebody else. Space Station 13 might not have even been on the list. So, yeah, that's the soundtrack list. So maybe I'll add that to the site anyway. That was lower priority for me. But besides, it would be better if, like, I've approved some of these and said, yeah, this music's awesome. Well, here, I remembered one right now that's awesome. It's actually on sale at Fanatical for like $250, and you can pick 2 other games. Was it Out There Omega Edition? That is real nice music. I like the theme of that. I love that game too. It's like this sort of game that seems like it's kind of casual, and I guess it is, but I love the theme, and it had great atmosphere to it, fun gameplay. So, all right, should get some more questions. My voice is getting a little worn. How would you rank the Star Trek series from best to worst? I guess I'd probably put Next Generation first, and then original series. Then I don't know. I mean, I'm not far enough in to judge, but I guess I would put Voyager above Enterprise. And I don't know where to put Deep Space Nine, because, again, I saw that episode with O'Brien that was awesome. So I need to see how many awesome episodes it has. And like that episode was more awesome than any of Enterprise that I've seen so far. So the one where everybody's acting real weird around O'Brien, like something's off. Again, I don't want to spoil it. That one was better than every Enterprise episode I've seen. I don't know about every Voyager one. Memory's a little fuzzier, but Voyager, it's like it tried, but it wasn't always. It tried to be interesting, you know. Oh yeah, this is a good one. What do you think about the CPU management engines in that they more or less are CPUs within your CPU that allow all alphabet agencies to access a backdoor within them and potentially take full control of your system? Well, I guess if you're, yeah, I mean, it's probably not good, but I mean, well, I think that's what led to stuff like Spectre and Meltdown. Excuse me. Is I think it was like based off of like leaks from the NSA, like maybe like some of the Snowden leaks that were where they just didn't get plugged. And it was, maybe I'm mixing things up though. So it's like, yeah, these are vulnerabilities they're introducing. I mean, I don't do anything. I guess I'm in a privileged enough position where nothing I do is that important. So if they're spying on me, it's like, yeah, he's looking up that weird game again. It's like no, this one, no, the other one. So it's like, geez, there's a lot on games here. Like, or we have anything? No. So, but some people, yeah, that could be really bad if their information's compromised. I mean, I guess what you have to do, if you're paranoid about that sort of thing, you basically have to set up a separate system that's just not connected to the internet, and it has no wireless functionality, and then just sideload everything, have awareness of what you do access online. There might be some custom CPUs though. I don't know if ARM has something like that. Yeah, NVIDIA's might be buying ARM. Jeez, it's like companies are, it's like I said in the video, companies are just getting bigger and bigger, just buy everything, NVIDIA might be buying ARM. But I think there was another one that was, geez, I forget the name of it. It's like XISC or something like that processors, or no, not Temple OS. It was like a custom processor that was kind of, it's not x86 based, but they still were getting like, RISC, yeah, that's it, RISC-V, or RISC, yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Maybe those don't have the backdoor potential. I don't know. I mean, they're not going to be as fast, but they were actually farther along than I would have thought. I read an article about them. Yeah, RISC is just open source, not a CPU design. Oh, okay. Maybe I'm mixed. I must be confused then. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. I thought some people were actually making CPUs based on the open source though of it. But that said, someone recently sent me news. Apparently, Intel just had a massive leak about all this NDA documents and just really confidential stuff. So it would not surprise me if a whole bunch of Intel machines suddenly need patches for vulnerabilities in the near future. So yeah, I haven't looked at the details on that. There could be interesting stuff coming from it. Oh, well, thank you. Somebody's letting me know they're able to donate. I appreciate that. I'm stuff like that's why I just want to prioritize the audience more, because it's not only because that's what I prefer to do, but because in my case, that's actually probably the smarter option rather than just monetizing the hell out of everybody. I mean, as soon as I saw, YouTube forcibly put on the mid-roll ads. I mean, apparently I could have opted out of it, but I was slow to the gate on that. So I have to do it manually, but I was able to see the statistics and I saw the minutes watched going down and I saw the revenue going up. And I think, now if those are the only two metrics you look at, then of course, I think modern businesses don't do that enough. They just see, oh, it's going up. Therefore, this is what we do. All in, 100%. Just get those ads up there. It went up. The end. Whereas I'm thinking a little more long term. I'm thinking, whoa, views and view count went down during that time. Well, I'd rather have views be going up, because that's a more stable system long term, So I'm not a fan of just like burning the future to get by in the present, you know? Okay, but yeah. So yeah, with the backdoors, I guess what that means, if you're super worried about that, you can't, maybe those risk-based processors actually don't have that. Or I think China is actually working on its own CPU, but my guess is you shouldn't necessarily count on those not having any backdoors. But the risk ones, I guess somebody said they're open source. So yeah, those ones might actually be safe, but even then, safe only in that limited context. Because as soon as you get online, there's all sorts of things that can come after you. So yeah, the safest thing is just have a separate system, sideload everything you need to do on that. Don't even have it hooked up via a cable or wireless to another computer, even if you think it's controlled. I guess that's the answer to that if you're super worried about it. I'm skipping more questions, I'm afraid. Someone's asking, after the movie is released, would you consider commissioning someone to make a game based off of it? I don't remember how much I've said about the movie at this point. So I just want to say you'll be pleased with my plans. So probably no, probably wouldn't commission someone, but it's something that I can actually translate well into a game. I'll say that. Somebody's asking my dream place to live and work. They're saying, I seem to love working at home while he avoids it at all costs. I simply love biking to and from my workplace. Well, you know, I exercise each day. I get to go out. And I would say that's better because I don't have to go the exact same commute every time. But, I mean, it depends. If there was like this probably is even more a fantasy now in pandemic age. But, you know, if there was like an actual team there, then yeah, I could see maybe wanting to go to an actual workplace because then you can coordinate a lot faster. Look, I can do it, but I'll be honest, like coordinating all this stuff for a game dungeon, like it takes more mental brain power for me than just if people were in a room and we could just point to that, say this, it is. It just takes more mental energy. So I'm not. What I've found is I can be good at management, I can be good at making videos, but I am not good at both at the same time. Like, so if I was just managing a project, yeah, I think I could be quite competent on it. But I don't know. I'll try and figure out more stuff eventually. Yeah, well, that's why I need ideally one project manager for the movie. Look, the new image for the game dungeon, that's something that was sent to me like a year and a half ago. I had been meaning to work it in. It's just that I would cut things so to the edge on game dungeon, and I think, oh geez, I forgot I need to have a new intro. And then I look at the submission, it's like, well, maybe, geez, okay, just throw up the old one. And then, whereas this one, I knew I really wanted to have a custom one for the follow-up episode, because like that's a perfect opportunity. Like, yeah, let's have it different. This is the just throw everything up there episode. So I checked some other entries people sent. I might be able to have that for a few more episodes. It's the same thing with having custom title art. That's totally something I can get help with. It's just that I tend to be incompetent and think of that too late in the project and just not prioritize. Because my brain is always like, well, that's not hard. That's not the hard part. I just do that later. And then the episode's almost done and people are expecting it. It's like, oh, damn it, I never did that. This has happened many times with me. So I'm not the best project manager of my own projects, but I just keep stumbling through. Okay, so let's see. Oh yeah, dream place to live and work. Well, I mean, they're saying something like, what? A log cabin in the woods with awesome internet, 3-bedroom apartment with an office and good insulation, a house in the suburbs perhaps. Well, I don't know if I'd want an actual log cabin, but yeah, something out in the woods would be great. Like just trees all over the place. I mean, I wouldn't mind a more modern design. I don't know. I mean, For some reason, the image of like a castle in the forest came to mind. Like I was thinking of like in Beauty and the Beast, and also in what in Gabriel Knight's The Beast Within. Those both, but I actually I just like how that looks. I probably actually wouldn't want to live in a castle. Those wouldn't feel so cozy. Plus, those are huge, and I don't think I'd want a huge place because that's a lot of cleaning and heating and everything you have to deal with. But yeah, this is another area where I don't know what I want, but I like certain things. You know, I was liking a lot of what I was seeing in that mansion in Black Mirror. The Black, like I was thinking, wow, some of this looks pretty nice. You know, so part of me likes that sort of, I don't know, Victorian era luxury or feel or mock feel of that, or with cool artsy stuff. I could like real artsy things. I can like sort of a clean modern look. But yeah, I guess that's. I mean, yeah, I would like being out being out with lots of nature. I would like that. I mean, as long as I can get to a grocery, that close enough to a grocery, that would be important. And again, I kind of need internet for my job, but. Yeah, I don't know. If anyone wants to design a dream house for me in The Sims, or actually, I think there is house building software. I'd be fine with looking over designs. It's just it's sort of a fun idea. Okay, well, I'm running way too late. Okay, I'm gonna get super. Okay, I was gonna answer this question. He's saying he once mentioned that he was going through a type of depression where playing a game or doing anything exciting was about as fun as doing the dishes. Yeah, basically, so you just have no happiness, basically. The term for that was called anhedonia. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but and any advice on how to break through to what your personal experience was breaking out of it? Because this person may have been experiencing that. This can vary on the person, you know. In my case, what did it was getting the right medication. So my advice is if you're having that and you think it might not just be like some psychological hang up you have, try to find a psychiatrist, explain the problem, they'll prescribe something. If that doesn't work, don't despair. Just tell them after they've gone through the trial period, then they'll maybe prescribe something else and you find something that worked. What worked for me personally was Wellbutrin, Buprion. You know, I'm not on that anymore. I went off it after a few years and was basically okay. So, but that just like jump started. It was like jump starting a car. Like that's what did it for me. So, okay, I'm getting culling way more questions. Somebody mentions a VR treadmill. That looks cool. It's $1,000 though, so that means it's off in the maybe someday range for me. Plus, that one looks a little more mobile, like it might break more. What might be better is the Omniix one, where less. I don't even know. I don't think that one even has moving parts. So, you know, not having moving parts can be a plus for durability, but I guess it just depends on the design. So he's asking about the Detective Nick Bone machinima. I think that's utterly hilarious, though. If you're easily offended, do not watch it. I think the later ones got more serious than I like, whereas the earlier ones are just fun and just hilarious. Yeah. But yeah, not if you're easily offended, then skip those. Okay, this question needed to get more votes about best system of organizing things. I don't remember which test I took that labeled me as like a mad scientist category, but I'm pretty sure it was MBTI related. It's fine if you want to send me soundtracks, so I'm way behind on that, going through that. Somebody's asking I should put timestamps so they show up on the scroll bar. Maybe I can delegate that to my wife. I mean, it's sort of low priority for me. I mean, it depends on the sort of video it was. Like, if this was a video where this is, like, if I was making like an educational video or there's really crucial information, then yeah, I'd be much more inclined to get on that. But it's just, you know what? I'd rather work on the next game dungeon. That's what it comes down to. Or I'd rather have more game dungeons without neat stopping points than less with them. You know, it's. This is a good question, but yeah, I didn't get enough votes. About, I have to think about it. If what sort of project would I want to make in a junkyard? I might make a really exotic mini golf course out of a junkyard. You know, I could maybe think of some other things. I mean, sure, your usual sculptures and stuff like that, but maybe you can make a junkyard mech. This one was posted 6 hours ago. Yeah, well, I mentioned before I'm using the DK. They're asking about VR. I'm using the DK2, but I'm gonna move to the Odyssey Plus. He's saying, well, hey, something I should correct. They're saying since VR is really expensive, doesn't have to be. Look up the cheaper Windows mixed reality versions like Lenovo, Dell, HP. Not the HP Reverb 2, but like the older HP one. Not the Reverb. Not the Reverb one. I forget what it's called, but yeah, Lenovo, Dell. Yeah, the cheap mixed reality ones. Those will probably be in. You might be able to go under $100 for those. There might even be cheaper ones that I'm not aware of. So yeah, I definitely recommend Vorpex. Yeah, it's. I mean, if you want the full immersion, Vorpex might not do much for you because it's just going to be just in front of you. But yeah, so yeah, you don't need to go with super expensive. Don't think that you need a Valve Index or the Pimax or even the Reverb 2 is still 600, I think. So I mean, I have the Odyssey Plus. That one's the one to get when it's way on sale. You know. So for some reason it's like around 500 normally, but then it drops to like under 200 every now and then. So it's like, yeah, get it then, you know? So yeah, don't get it at full price, I don't think. There's too much competition. Yeah, and they were asking something that confused me. What are your opinion on crosshairs that are below the center of the screen? I actually had. Oh, they mean like kind of like sometimes like a T shape, like the ones you see in grenade launchers, or do they mean just like off in a different area? I'm not sure I've even seen that before. I mean, I don't care what the symbol of the crosshair is as long as it's not like blocking my view too badly. I mean, a dot, triangle, whatever, you know. I mean, I don't even necessarily need a crosshair depending on the game. So, I mean, they help, but. I mean, I've played enough FPSs, I can eye it, you know. Okay. All right, and okay, in the chat, put 3 equal signs. I'll take some chat questions. Sorry this went on so long. I'll try to answer. Oh, you know, somebody's asking progress on the movie is coming. I had thoughts on that. Basically, that led me on a thought process where I felt like the only way I was going to be able to do it is like I think I'm just gonna have to eliminate my free time basically to get progress done on the movie and keep the same output rate. But we'll see. I've been doing nothing but big videos lately, so that kind of skews my whole view on things. But okay. What are your thoughts on the ancient aliens theory? I don't know what that is. I only know it has that guy with the hair going like this saying aliens. I only know the meme. Oh, the aliens maybe landed earlier? I mean, it's possible, but, you know, this is such a good metric for measuring these things. I think it was Carl Sagan said, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. That's such a good metric to handle like kind of big claims about something that may have happened, you know. Oh, are we coming with just like buckets of evidence here? Or is this just like, there's a drawing and there's something in the sky, you know? I don't know the details on it. Will you sell physical copies of the movie? Unlikely. I mean, it's going to be free to download. I mean, I'm not doing this really from a business standpoint. When it comes to action RPGs that have your skill tree, passive tree, do you like to theory craft yourself or just look up builds? No, I like to. I mean, maybe, that's kind of skewed. I guess maybe, because theory crafting a Path of Exile, you have to be very obsessive. I mean, like, it's to be competitive where, I guess, is it the sort of game where you can just mix and match whatever you want and still be able to play through the game fine? That is not the case of Path of Exile. Like, I mean, it's like you're looking to squeeze. Again, going with the car analogies, Path of Exile's viable builds are like not only tuning your engine and having, like, for drag racing, and having like a, I forget what it's called, like a hood cooler, the hood extension, but also having nitros and having the right tires and like figuring out some, how can we make this nitros boost even more? That's really what Path of Exile theory crafting is like. I don't even touch that. I mean, whereas if it's the sort of game that's just not so brutal about that, whereas you can just experiment with all sorts of different things, yeah, that can be fun, So, but I'm at a loss as to what games are like that. I have the game now. I still want to play it. I'm not sure if this game is like that or not, but the game Mother Gunship strikes me as maybe it could be like that, where you're just kind of building your own weapons and just throwing stuff out there and seeing what happens. So, yeah, I don't mind doing that, but it just depends. If you really need to come prepared, then no, just give me something that works, Been a lot of gaming news lately regarding awful work practices and environments. I hadn't even heard of that one lately, but I'm kind of behind on news. I've just been working on the video. Stolen by a environment stolen by a publisher and having unpaid workers. Any thoughts? Well, it's not good. I'm glad it's getting more attention. I mean, I'm hoping this just doesn't become a new normal. But yeah, having it mentioned, more exposure on it's only a good thing, I think. Oh, I remembered something else I watched this month, or I've been watching. I haven't finished it yet. I was watching it like, I just wanted something short to watch before going to sleep. This is by the creator of Cool World. And again, my opinion on Cool World is try again. It's like, there was definitely some cool stuff in there, even though the movie just kind of a mess. It's called Spicy City. And it's kind of interesting. It's the only copy I've been able to find is on YouTube with like really blurry copies, but they're there. So I've watched a few episodes and they're kind of interesting. It's like what somebody mentioned earlier, like that bright dystopia thing. It has kind of that vibe to it. So yeah, maybe check that out. And I should maybe back those up now that I've mentioned it publicly, just in case they get a copyright takedown. But I think you can't even buy this. So, But yeah, there's only like 6 episodes, but it was striking me as interesting. Somebody's saying Cool World is better than Spicy City, better than Mellow Town. Well, if you really like jazz, you might like Spicy City, but it has kind of a film noir feel to it, but they're not afraid to just dive into sci-fi stuff, so I like that. So, and it's very colorful too. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Oh yeah, okay. I was saying, you noticed you stopped saying the R word. Do you feel bad about using it before? If so, will you change some lines in the older videos that had the word in it if you're able to patch the videos? No, yeah, I mean, you can guess what it is. Look, I grew up, that was kind of a normal insult. And I feel like there is some legitimacy to the insult in a sense. I mean, obviously, I guess I'm just trying to avoid it now more because it's less. But like Beavis and Butthead, that's all in there. I think like Mallrats, it's in there. It's in lots of comedies. It was kind of a common expression, and I don't think it was ever intended as an insult to people who are actually mentally handicapped. It's intended to say that. I mean, I guess the thing in my eyes, you can still call somebody stupid, and that's not considered offensive in the same way to people who are mentally handicapped. Whereas that's the exact same intent. And I don't think the intent was ever there to disparage mentally handicapped people. Oh man, the Angry Video Game Nerd has such a great segment on that. Where he's talking about, he's talking about like the Rambo titles, and he says, well, no, I'll say it. I mean, come on. This was so well put. It's like, what are you, retarded? Oh, you are? Oh, I'm sorry. Like that really sums up the spirit of it, because, it's, yeah, because he didn't mean that if you actually do have that condition, oh, it's not, well, then, we're not looking at, then you realize, oh, well, we're not holding you to the same standards. It's like, oh, well, this is a setback for you, and we should be more considerate. Whereas it's used as an insult, where the assumption is, no, you're a normal person and you're acting like you're mentally handicapped, but you're not, and this shouldn't be an excuse, So it's like the equivalent of trying to, okay, this isn't a perfect example. It's like berating somebody. It's like the equivalent of being upset, like with soccer players. They fake injuries. It's the equivalent of having a word, being upset with them because you're faking the injury. You don't actually have the injury, and we shouldn't treat you with the same level of respect that somebody who actually broke their leg should. I think that's the best way to look at it. Or somebody faking this. Oh yeah, that's that's like an old joke where people will just won't be handicapped at all, but they'll hang the little handicap sign, handicap tag on their mirror to just park wherever they want. That's the idea. You're attacking that. You're not actually attacking or disparaging actually handicapped people. So yeah, I think it doesn't really recognize the spirit of it. Whereas other things like slurs, I think, yeah, that's different. But in this case, you're actually, it's not recognizing I think this one's a little different. But I figure, why open the can of worms? So I just try to avoid it anyway. But yeah, I love that Angry Video Game Nerd segment. What are you? Oh, you are. Oh, I'm sorry. Like it wasn't intended for people who actually have the conditions. Okay, more questions. Yeah, I shouldn't end on that one. Are you excited for Serious Sam 4 coming out next month? Thoughts on it? I'm sure it'll be good. I'm not trying to get too hyped up for it because I just don't buy stuff at full price. I mean, it's, I'll wait. I'm perfectly patient to wait until it's cheap. Let's see. But yeah, I'd say the only criticism I have is maybe this is a necessity for just the quantity of enemies they're going to have on the screen. But the lighting, it kind of felt a little, I don't know, maybe there's an exact expression for this, but it felt a little sterile. Like it's just like this whitish gray light, as opposed to just having like a little more mood to it, or more closely resembling like daylight. This isn't, I don't think this is an engine thing where, because this is something where you have great color lighting from like 20, 25 years ago. So I don't know, from what I've seen, it just has kind of like a sterile look to it. So maybe it's something that could benefit from like tweaking the color a little bit. But that's my only criticism. Everything else looks spot on. So It's like I don't even want to know what's in it. I'll just play it and I'll probably have a blast. So somebody's worried about the pandemic ending up in war in Southeast Asia. And he's wondering, how do you injure yourself well enough so you don't end up as a conscript? Well, I don't know off the top of my head, but what I suggest is there is information on this. Like that's a classic thing for Vietnam, uh, where the there, I think I heard there was a book of like things that you could do that would get you out of being drafted for Vietnam. I remember one, there was like, have like an offensive tattoo on the side of your hand so that when you salute, it's like just, you're basically flipping off whoever you're holding the salute to. Now that might not cut it nowadays, but you know, look it up. You know, there's, you might not even have to injure yourself. You know, I bet facial tattoos might be able to take you a ways with that. So, and that's going to vary for your government too. You know, what they consider like a no-go for what condition they want for soldiers. So if you don't want to get drafted, but yeah. So yeah, that's been covered before for sure. I'm sure there's information on that out there, like how to evade the draft. Yeah. Would you like to live in the world of the second episode of Black Mirror with the cycles? I don't remember which one that is. At first I was thinking Black Mirror 2. I was thinking, well, that's not that remarkable. I was thinking, oh, the show Black Mirror, you know. The cycles. I don't remember which one that is. Let's see. Black Mirror 2 cycles. 15 million merits, is that it? Oh, geez, no, that one was awful. I would like a cycle machine. Put it like this: I would like the, yeah, no, that one looked bad. I would like having a cycle machine that is kind of like you're cycling through a forest, or like to kind of gamify it. That could make it a lot more fun. That's about the only thing I'd want from that episode. Okay, lost my place. I'll try to answer some more. What is your favorite player guide you read? I don't know, I guess. Okay, I see you shave your mustache. Did you ever fully grow it out? How'd you look with no facial hair? That will be revealed. Well, okay, I'll tell you. You want to know how I look like with no facial? Okay, rewind the clock 10, 15 years. With the way I look with no facial hair, look up Clive Barker's Undying, the portrait photo. I look ridiculously like Ambrose from that. You know, so I was never that thin, but I regret I never took a photo of myself clean shaven like that. I took the Freeman's My photo, but man, I was like on the money. I was like, Jesus, you know, when I saw that. So yeah, look up Ambrose from Clive Barker's Undying, the portrait photo where they're all just kind of standing around. So. Why'd you call it Game Dungeon? What's the genesis of the term? I don't know. I just kind of wanted to like something that was, you know, buried away in there. Like you're kind of, you have to go in and find out what's there, you know? I wanted something with that theme. So. Okay, something about the adding chapters. Okay, what do you think of YouTube forced new look version? Oh, I didn't realize it did that. What do you think? YouTube does what it wants, you know. It's you know what I feel like my survival on YouTube reminds me of? You know those mechanical bulls that try to like throw you off? So it's like, let's just keep turning up the difficulty. Oh yeah, I'm still holding on there. Like that's kind of how I feel about YouTube changes. Like, okay, like next level on the mechanical bull. So Yeah, I mean, it's just, I just kind of accept it for what it is. I mean, I mean, I don't know if accept it, but just work around it. You know, I don't see this as something I can really fight. What do you think of Castlevania Grimoire of Souls being shut down in this September? Well, obviously, a Castlevania game getting shut down sure sounds like it sucks. I mean, not the game, but like this, you know, I'm obviously a fan of Castlevania. Yeah, well, I'm sure Jim Sterling will get on that. Yeah, that's Konami, right? You know. How do you feel about companies and rights holders running older franchises by either not understanding the source material, ruining older, by either not understanding the source material or not carrying a favoring profits or lowest common denominator overall, like Fallout and Star Wars, etc. Well, obviously I don't like it, but I've seen this sort of thing happen so many times. When people ask, "Oh, are you excited about the sequel?" It's like, well, not necessarily. You know, it's like I assume nothing now when there's like a sequel to a franchise. I just try to appreciate when the game's good and just keep looking for other good stuff, and just sequels. Yeah, you know, it's like I assume nothing. So when somebody's asking my daily schedule, well, it changes, and they're asking how many hours a day I spend of it. I haven't clocked it. Maybe I can do that sometime. Most of the day for sure. Have you traveled around Europe at all since coming to Poland? I tell you what, I'll do 8 more minutes, 5 more minutes of questions. And I went very briefly over the border to. No, I guess I haven't. I mean, I've gone to Warsaw. I've gone to Katowice. It's both in Poland. I went to this border city next to the Ukraine border. I crossed over the Ukraine border for like an hour to reset my passport. So I got to see a little bit of the Ukraine. Well, even then, I got to see some stuff like I got to see an internet cafe that they just obviously took the Microsoft Internet Explorer logo and just put it on there. I'm pretty sure they had no rights to do that. I got this. Yeah, the churches look very different, and I got some treats from some Ukrainian treats from like a local grocery or something. I came back, so it wasn't anything that spectacular, but it was kind of neat. Yeah, I think I already mentioned my border crossing experience in a previous episode. I mean, in a previous video chat. But yeah, I've been working a lot since I came here. There's a big devil mess, but I skipped it. I don't know what a big devil mess is. Could go a lot. My first thought is, oh geez, there's a card from Magic the Gathering where it's like you summon a bunch of devils. I think it's from Innistrad or something. What can I find the card? Oh, I can't. Wait, is this it? Devil's. It might be Devil's Playground. I'm not sure. So that's my first thought when thinking of Big Devil's Mess. So wait, what was the rest of the question? Let's see. I figured you can be as close to Satan while playing Stardew Valley rather than in a stuffy satanic church. What do you think? I'm quite confused by the question. Normally, satanic churches and Stardew Valley aren't like two words I commonly associate with each other. You know, so I'm obviously, you know, missing some information here. Like the most common thing I've heard of Stardew Valley is being like a gateway to actual farming, you know, so. Okay, a few more. People are mentioning turn-based combat in games that I'm not personally familiar with, so my opinion's not going to mean much. Oh, in New Beginning, they're saying I was irritated with anachronisms. It's not. I wasn't exactly irritated. It's more like I'm not letting this slide. You know, it's like I'm calling him out on it. Like, no, I enjoyed the game actually for a new beginning. Hey, it's like I said in the video, it felt like an adventure. Great, you know, as we had sci-fi stuff. We went to the future, you know, time travel. You got plenty of funny parts, you know, nice presentations. It's a good game, you know, but you know, the core message just it's confused, you know. It's like so that's what I was pointing out. Okay, I've read Michael Crichton's timeline. So is that would there be anachronisms or thing out of place? Well, no, they're not going to be out of place at the source. So they might be out of place in the future. You see what I mean? That like, so if you're traveling back to 1982, well, that's your 0 point. So unless somebody's traveled back farther than 1982, no, that should be exactly as it was. I mean, unless you want to go to like the multiple universes and there's big variance between them theory of it, you know. So yeah, so basically 2000 could be different if they change things in 1982, but so I was looking at it all from that perspective, you know. You enjoyed memes and writing jokes to yourself and the series the fans, the community made over the years. I mostly haven't really looked at them actually. So I just kind of keep, you know, it's weird. I'm like, I don't like looking at too many things of myself, honestly. I mean, I just sort of like turn that part of my brain off when I'm making the videos because I'm just more goal oriented. It's like, all right, I need this piece here, put it there. But then once it's done, it's like, I'll watch the video to make sure it came out okay. And then it's like, I don't want to watch myself again. I don't know what it is. It's just some mental hang up I have. But I'm fine if people want to make them of me. I mean, geez. If I did like, I think even one video chat would give you more expressions from my face to work with to make any meme you wanted. So it's, I don't worry about it, you know. What do you think of accessibility options in games? Well, it's great for the people who need them, you know. I mean, again, I love that bad PR for EA for the, you know, the handicapped gamer who couldn't play Dead Space because they couldn't remap the damn keys for the game. Even though I think there actually probably would be ways or, well, maybe, I think there probably would be third-party software solutions to that, but that's just such bad optics for EA to do that, so. I mean, shoot, I mean, if you count that as accessibility, I use the field of vision one sometimes. Though I think even the default settings tend to be a lot better than they were. So, because those can make me kind of queasy. What game had the most complex command input for basic stuff? That's a great question I'd have to think about. I mean, for sure, it'd probably have to be like a text-based game, but if we're talking about games with graphics, I really have to think about it. I remember some old Commodore games where you have to like do like a sequence of things to. The internet will probably have a better answer to that than I would. Something like this, okay. There's a link. What is it? I still don't get the crosshair. Oh, I guess the crosshair is lower? That's weird. I guess I never noticed, so. I'm pretty adaptable to where my crosshair is. Wait, I'm still confused by the crosshair height thing. So I don't get it. So it's obviously not a big deal for me, you know. Yeah, you know, okay, I should stop soon. But this reminds me of a skit from The Whitest Kids You Know, where these bank robbers are planning a heist, and they're going over the floor plans, and then one of them is staring at it. It says, wait a minute, I don't understand. How do you get from here to here? And it says, well, this is the second floor. You know, it's like we go up the stairs here. It's like, wait a minute, so is there a tunnel in between this part? It's like, no, those are the steps. You just walk up it. And it's like staring at it. I'm just going to have to see it, you know. So that's how I feel looking at this off crosshair stuff. You know, I'm seeing some idealized comments on comedy. It's like, well, comedy, I just, make it funny, don't worry about it. Like, yeah, you shouldn't get into comedy if you have like a really thin skin, I think. It's, I mean, they're talking about this aspirational stuff, and I was thinking, well, that snake going for the people in the cyber cafe, I don't think that was very deep, but that was great video. So, it's just, snake, so it's, I don't necessarily overthink things. I overthink things if it's fun, or I overthink things if it's fun or important. Otherwise, I try to just tune out if I can. I mean, I guess you could argue I did with Human Revolution, but it's like, it was a prequel. It was a prequel, If I had no basis of comparison, it's like, okay, the yellow cyber tech game, it's like, well, it had some good stuff going for it. Gameplay was fun. Wish they turned off the yellow filter. Yeah, it was good. Music didn't really jump out at me, but, Okay. Seeing repeated questions. Or maybe I just lost my place. Maybe I really did lose my place. No, I think it's just repeated questions. Okay, and last question is wanting spoilers about Freeman's Mind. So I'm gonna end it there. More videos. Freeman's Mind's next. But it's just gonna be me just hammering away at that and Game Dungeon and the Dream Software video. Guess thanks for showing up. Yeah, I guess I'll have a lot of links this time. And Game Dungeon's gonna get more upbeat. So if you're one of the people who you don't like having the reality bleed into you just want to relax and have this, I think you're gonna be happy with what's coming. So okay, that's a good place to end it. I'll see you later.